Alright, let's see here. Oh my god. I think we're good. I think we're live. Let's hang out here for a second. Okay, right here. Back here. Let's go here. Hey guys. How's it going? Feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. My name's Michael. I appreciate you guys for joining me and hanging out today. Sorry I'm late. It's Friday. I worked late tonight. I was just in the mood and just vibing at work and just was building in the lab on a new product and was just, weighing things and adding things and weighing things and adding things, and next thing you know, it's 6:30, and so yeah, I appreciate you guys being here and for hanging out with me and waiting for me here, being patient. So I want to try something new today as well. I think it'd be fun to watch some videos while we code, maybe. I think that'd be fun. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? We gotta get some people in here. Where's everybody at? Where the people at? Oh, this is... Yo. There we go. Okay, I think we're good. Yeah, we're live. Alright. Feeling good. Let me go ahead and Ooh. How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Hello, Vo Kim. Welcome in, welcome in. I appreciate you for coming in. Let's let some people roll in here, and we're gonna get started today. I think it'd be fun if we watch some videos while we code up our project, so it's not as boring for you guys. I think that'd be kind of fun. What do you guys think? I'm doing good. Odin's on! How's it going, dude? Alright, let's see here. Let's put this over here. Let me see if I can turn... Okay, so... Yeah, we're live on Twitch as well. Alright, let's see how loud this is.
Hello everyone and welcome to the stand-up.
I have to step away for a second. Shut up.
Oh my
It doesn't have
god,
to be
dude.
exact.
Every
Classic
time.
crime
Okay.
moment, dude.
Yep.
How's the volume on that?
Hey, everybody.
Music in the background or no music in the background? We could have faint funk playing in the background.
100% chance I have no idea what
The
we're talking about.
Google
Same.
We could have faint music in the background while we watch a video, while we code, or we can have no music in the background. What do you think?
Wait, you made a video on this. What are you
I
talking
did.
about?
But that doesn't mean
It's
anything.
not security.
I made a
It's
video on
not
Nintendo
security.
Switch. What?
Yeah, it's not security. It wasn't a
Oh, I
security
don't know
problem.
what we're talking about.
No one got
Also,
hacked.
I did make a video on it. Just throwing that out there. Just I made a little quick video on it, but I have actually no goddamn idea
I'll
what it
carry
is
us.
about.
It's all good. Let's do it. Let's go.
We got
Oh
it.
my
We got
gosh,
this. We
what
got this,
the
Prime. Nothing could
actual-
possibly go wrong. We're good. It's great.
Okay.
Step
We'll leave
away.
it like that.
No problem. We got
it.
this.
All right, let's watch this while we code up on our project. So,
Bit of milk in my-
faint music is chill while we watch videos. Yeah, I kind of like it. Okay. Let's go ahead and first go over our project and see where we left off last time. So I've got this cool little pop-up window, which is this Google Chrome extension thing that I found. So I kind of like, I wanted to get like a little pop-up window that like floats on top of your screen, so you don't have to constantly like, you can have like a little video playing while inside VS Code would be is kind of fun. I guess you could open up like maybe like a browser source in the tab here potentially with, I don't know, could you do that in VS Code? And then just make it a double browser or double, whatever, but whatever. Sorry, it's gonna be, my jacket landed on her, my doggo. Okay, we're gonna code on our project here, so let's go over what we got. So, yesterday we left off on, we completed the parse of the pages of each of the products on the Depop site. So we were able to successfully go through the Depop site on the homepage, scan it, and scroll through it to make sure all the products load. We then go through and gather all the URLs from the products from the DOM, and then we go ahead and open up new pages consecutively for all the products, and we extract out the information. And then we're going to populate that into a class. And yeah, so pretty cool. So that's what we've got so far. So let's go ahead and show that. Oh, nice. Why isn't, oh. So as you can see, on my terminal, you can kind of, it's hard to tell, but it's populating, extracting out all these products information. So we do have a couple of bugs though. So we need to, some of these products might not have the information it's looking for. So we might just want to kind of bypass that if it doesn't have it, right? So let's go ahead and work on that. So, and then let's go ahead and throw on is TTS coming on through for you guys? Someone chat. Begging for chats. Begging for chats. Can you guys hear the TTS? I don't think you can. Oh, I think it's because I have it coming through the OBS here and not through. Oh, interesting. Can you guys hear the TTS? SS low? Or no? Let me know. Okay. That sucks. Then I guess I'll have to pull it up here. All right, give me a chat. Someone give me a chat. Someone hit me with a chat. I think we got it. I got the TTS on. I opened up in an actual browser.
Slow says there's about a 30s live delay for me.
There we go. Yeah, 30-second delay is kind of tough, but I think that's just YouTube. I'm not really sure how to reduce the delay. Let's see here. Stream. Maximum replay time, replay buffer 20 seconds.
Slow says okay, there it is.
Yeah. Okay, let's get into this.
Slow says yeah, I think it's just YT.
Yeah, because Twitch is like instant, right? It's got like, it's because Twitch is just made for live streaming, so it's kind of like a different platform in itself. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this. So,
Odo says hello Michael, so I am doing a new ML course and I made my own roadmap and following it right now. I am at math section. Do you have any advice for me?
no, sounds like you're on the right track, dude. Just keep going and believe in yourself, honestly. You got your roadmap set up and, believe in that and stay consistent with it and don't quit on yourself. All right, let's go ahead and get into some code for today. So, and we'll watch this video.
Coffee, because just a splash of milk with cacao is really delicious.
I would love a coffee right now, actually. Oh, I want coffee so bad.
Anyways, sorry.
All right, so
I know
Good morning
that
everyone
you're-
equals
you're
D.
Yo, what's up, No
itching
Pie?
to do your signature opening.
Okay, so
to the extent that it exists for the podcast.
The
I'm
sixth
going
greatest
to-
opener of all time
There
for
it
the
is.
stand-up would love to start the opening.
Oh,
Hey,
product.
today we have a very special
download
episode of the
content
stand-up.
loaded.
We replaced
Print content.
TJ with, in fact, a smarter version of TJ. Low-level.
So what I'm
learning
gonna
curve,
do
stand-up
is maybe-
stand-up security expert, probably Bellotro expert
Okay, so we need
as
to make
well.
sure
As
that
always,
we're
we have
parsing the
Lucy
page to extract the
Ortori
following
and
content.
Trash Dev
This
on
is
here.
this,
Today
okay,
we're
this
gonna
is
be
the
talking
title,
about a very
description, and we're getting it out of product
security
info for
incident
all of
and
these, except
low-level learning. We brought him
for
on due to
condition,
all of his
the
expertise,
P
his
tags.
good looks, his deep knowledge of C and null
comes
pointers
from
and
the product
everything. He's going to
info.
walk us through what's kind of happened, and we're going to talk about maybe the state of security
And
and who
brain
knows where this
elements.
is going to go. So, low level, why don't you kick us off on this one?
Let's do
Okay,
it,
so
man.
await
yeah.
this,
So I mean,
right.
it all goes back to
Await the
1972
text
when
content.
C, the programming language, was
Um,
invented, and then 50 or so years later, we're still using it, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, man, last week, Google kind of took the internet offline for
Oh, hold
3
on,
hours.
time out.
So it says
yeah,
query.
sure.
So we're querying for the selector.
Years ago, and then went right up to last week. Like, what happened in between?
Not a ton, honestly.
Okay.
Not
No.
a ton. Like a couple new C standards came out, and then now here we are. So that's
People
about
were
where it ends.
born.
Yeah, some people were.
Okay, so we'll say
But yeah, so Google took the internet
if
out,
so
man, and it's
if
kinda
brand
crazy how they did
element.
it.
We'll say if
it was like Thursday
brand
at like 13:52
element.
roughly Eastern time in the US.
Right, then we'll go ahead and get
Um,
brand. Else,
152.
One.
Okay.
Yeah, well, 1 p.m.
He's a
Eastern
military
time,
boy. You just gotta deal with it.
10 p.m.
so I'll
Pacific
set
time.
brand
Look, it's a
default
graphic
out
tool,
here
I guess. It's 52.
equals
Internet
to
went down for a little
quote.
bit. Then
not
no one
applicable.
still to this day knows exactly what happened.
Um,
Google did put out a report
if brand
that talks
element-
about what they did. The
Right, then
end
we'll
result,
override the
end
brand.
reason was that Google published code
So that we can just
that
kinda
did
set a
not account
default
for
here.
null pointers, and when a policy change went out that contained
guess we'll
the
just
null
set it
pointer in the policy
to
change, it crashed the management plane of
none.
Google Cloud. Period. Full stop. That's what
So there
happened.
is no brand.
Absolutely nuts.
Classic.
Crazy stuff.
You can save a
Classic
brand
Google
as
move.
none.
And the irony in all of this.
So if you
is
go to
that Google
listing,
is a
we can
company
say
that runs
brand
the
here as
OSS
stir or
Plus
none.
open source software fuzzing. So literally, what they have is a data center full of machines that fuzz
So
open
then-
source software to find memory corruption vulnerabilities in them. Right. This is a project Google has been sponsoring for a very long time. So the palpable irony in Google releasing software internally to their own management plane that had a memory issue and not like a heap overflow or erase condition,
Google
something a little harder
Google
to detect.
tripping.
Something as simple that you could like lint with like a failing to
Okay,
check
so
a null
then we
pointer.
have-
crashing the internet is just some of the craziest news I've seen in a very long time.
Can you rewind a little bit?
Yeah.
You said two things that I think probably need a bit of
So we
explaining.
have
One,
we set a
maybe give,
brand
like,
to
a
none.
quick overview of what a memory fuzzer is.
So I guess we
And
could
then
say
two,
we
you
could
said
do this
that
for all
nobody
of
knows
these,
what
right?
happened
We're
when
gonna
Google
set
released
size
the report. Are
initially
you
to
saying that
none.
Google knows what has happened? They're just
Right.
not telling people what has happened.
We could set.
Down! What happened? I don't know. Did you push? On a Friday? Never! How are we gonna figure this out? How are we gonna figure this out? Gotta shoot prods down?
Well, this might return none, right?
NeoVim config. That makes sense. I'm gonna spend a couple hours refactoring. I'll beat the plugins.
So we can.
Don't guess where your issues are. You can see exactly where they are happening with Sentry. Get all the context you need to debug any problem because code breaks, so fix it faster with Sentry.
Operationally, internal to Google, we do not know how that code got out, right? Like, was the code pushed through CI/CD and like it failed the test and they just said roll with it? Was the code vibe coded and no one really checked? Like, there's a lot of like weird if and if ands that could be happening with that code.
Okay, I want to see what
caused it to
error.
get published in the state that it was. That's a little weird. That's
Let me
what I
just
mean
do
by,
this.
like, no one knows
What
happened.
error do we get?
We know that there was a null pointer. We know that that was the reason why it crashed. But how that code got released is still kind of like ambiguous.
Item with
and then
no
Casey and I were
brand.
talking previously about like when CrowdStrike had their incident.
Right.
They released like a 50-page report that said like, hey, here is exactly what happened. Here is why the code went out. You know, sorry, it won't happen again. Yada yada yada. Google has not done that yet.
And amusingly, these two exploits were exploits the wrong term. Sorry, these two they're just crashes. Like nobody.
Okay, so we'll let this run for a little bit until we hit a bug. It'll hit one.
The CrowdStrike one and the Google one were both like, we have some config stuff that can happen, essentially. Like, there's some kind of like code that's being driven off of like some data that goes into the code that tells it like what it should do, right? And in the CrowdStrike case, that was the problem, is that, you know, the in production was the first time it got fed the correct data, like, to make the bad case happen. And the same was true of Google, apparently. It's like, basically this code, it will only hit its null pointer case. I mean, trying to read between the lines of the thing that they published, because again, they didn't show the code like CrowdStrike did, but it only gets to the null pointer case, apparently, if you pass it a certain configuration for the quota system. Like this, it was in the like thing that's trying to check.
I think it's in the
quotas or this
40s
sort
is
of
when we
thing.
hit the bug.
So it's the same exact kind of pathologies. Like there's a type of data that if you fed it to this thing, it doesn't do the right like checking of that data to make sure that it won't go into some bad code path, and off you go. And so they're kind of actually somewhat similar, at least from what Google actually said, which again, they didn't include the code, so it's like, who knows? They didn't even say what language it was in, correct?
They didn't. They said
So-
null pointer, but that could be C, C++, whatever, right?
Or Go.
Or
Go
Go,
has null
yeah.
pointers, I think, too, right?
There you go.
Yes,
true.
they do.
So
Famously.
Hold on, time out. Did we explain what a memory fuzzer is?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's a
I can talk
memory
about that.
Okay,
So
yeah.
basically, a
Asking
memory
for a
fuzzer,
friend, me.
it's basically picture it's like a unit test where you're trying to get as much code coverage as possible. But
Okay,
instead
so we
of like
passed that.
traversing down paths with like the sane data shape, you're literally mutating the
Interesting.
data to try to find edge cases in your code that are not accounted for in testing. So like,
So I want
if
to
I
see
have
here
an
in the
HTTP
40s. I
fuzzer,
know that there's
my
one that doesn't have a
initial
brand.
corpus, my first seed is going to be HTTP, you know, like a GET request, right? And then what the fuzzer will do is it'll pick a random byte in that packet, it'll mutate it by like
Acceleration.
flipping a bit, it'll like make an integer, a negative integer, it'll do some mutation, and then it'll run that request on the service and see, hey, does that input generate new coverage? If it does, okay, that is a new piece we have to add to the corpus to future mutate to find new code paths, and you do that trying to enumerate the entire code base from a coverage perspective. And so what a memory fuzzer would have done if they had fuzzed this software, and again, like this is the science behind getting coverage in fuzzing is like cutting edge technology right now. No one has it like figured out, but Google's very good at it. A fuzzer would have very quickly found like, oh, if this field is 0, it crashes the program, right? So it kind of implies that the software was not fuzzed, at least long at all. To Casey's point, this code had actually been public, or not public, it had been
I thought
released
it's the
since
striped
May
skirt,
of this
no?
year, like May 29th, I think. And because they had never pushed a policy change that exercised this code path, it just never was seen to crash. So either they didn't
Yeah.
test it, they didn't fuzz it, nothing really was done to like try to exercise this code until it got hit on June
This is
12th.
number
And
43.
it sounded
It
like
does have
too
a
that the
brand.
fuzzing would not have had to have been very complicated because the way they made
Huh.
it sound anyway in the very terse description
There you
was that
go.
like the kind of thing that would crash this was just something with some missing fields. They just use the phrase missing fields. So, a basic fuzz tester would probably try a bunch of different field combinations with some missing. Okay, like that's not a weird thing to have fuzzed, and apparently that was not done, I guess. But again, because there's so little information, who knows? Maybe it was a very strange, like really unusual combination of missing fields that no one thought to check. Who knows, right?
Yeah, what I would imagine is that, again, all speculation. I don't work at Google. I have no idea. It is likely they're passing around either a JSON blob or a YAML file, and then like if you use some YAML object that exists, but a subfield in that YAML object does not exist, that will populate a null pointer that then gets read. And the problem with that is like fuzzing binary data is very easy because, like I said, you flip a bit, you make an integer sign, something like that. Fuzzing
So what if I do this?
data with a sane grammar, like JavaScript, for example, or YAML, much more complicated. So the fact that it was not fuzzed implies that it was some like human readable like grammar and like a config spec that just didn't get tested, which is, again, for Google, it's just crazy, but also I can totally
Brand
see
is initially
why that would happen
none.
operationally.
If we get
So
What
I
do
have
you
a
think, Brian?
question.
Yeah, what's up?
So I don't know much about the outage because I was at a conference, so I didn't really
I
see
say
the
this?
go out if it actually did at all. So when you say that crashed the internet, to me that just sounds like a really bold claim. Like what? like
Yeah,
when
so
we
what was
say
the
it crashed the
fallout, right?
internet, like what is like the impact here and like what was the collateral? Like what happened exactly?
Yeah, so
was the
basically,
question?
when this outage
Condition.
happened, what really ended up occurring was that the binary that was responsible for doing
tags.
quota and authority checks or like authorization checks on requests like crashed in all regions of the world, right? So basically, any call to a Google Cloud Platform API was just 503. Like you could not do anything. So if you're like my course website, not a plug, this is like real life.
Yeah, what's the course website again? Just in
Low level
case.
academy. If you want to learn
Low
C,
Level
Rust,
Academy.
whatever.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
just
Plugs,
cheeky little
plugs
plug.
are allowed
Not
here.
plug, Low Level Academy.
Plugs
though.
are allowed.
No, but the reason
you
why I'm
spell
saying
that?
this is because I depend on Google OAuth, right? And so every time my site receives a 503 from an API, I get an email. And so during this outage, because the OAuth provider was returning 503s, I got like 120 emails in 30 minutes being like, the internet's down. So the issue was basically every site on the internet now depends on Google in some form or fashion through
Yeah,
OAuth,
definitely.
through the actual like compute providers,
So we
a bunch
could
of other
say-
stuff that I don't use or don't care to use. But basically,
Brand is this,
because
this
Google in its entirety went down, it kind of like
So
brought
if
the internet
brand
down with it,
element
which is
do
very like
this.
counterintuitive to like the design of the internet. It's meant to be like a decentralized mesh of nodes that if one goes down, routing exists and you can kind of route around it. But if it kind of just goes to show that we have this really weird dependence on like single points of failure in modern cloud architecture, which is kind of scary, I think, from a cyber attack perspective, right? It's kind of like how when Dyn went down, or DIN, however you want to pronounce it, in 2016, like again, DNS, core protocol to the internet, there was
If it
like
is
one
known,
major
then the
provider that
brand
went
is
down because of
known.
botnet, and when that went down, it took the whole internet down with
Right,
it. So.
I think that is what we want.
Cyberdyne,
So
did you
like
say?
No, just Dyn, D-Y-N.
key tags.
Yeah, sorry, cyber attack. The provider is called Dyn. I don't know if it's
it's a
Dyn
Terminator
or
joke.
It's a
Din.
Terminator joke. He's
okay.
going
Okay.
Skynet on us.
Sorry. I'm a little too young for Terminator, I think. I'm 30. so
No
it's-
way.
Yeah.
Shut up, you're not too young for
Your
Terminator.
false
No,
defense
no,
already
this is
dead.
weird.
Wait,
The
what was the
problem
first?
is-
When did the first Terminator come out?
Like
90s?
78, I think.
Oh, was it that old?
No,
Really?
80,
Right, so then
81 or
sub
thought it was
the
80.
price. Wait, pardon.
Terminator 1? Nah, I don't think so. I think I'm
was in
right.
the late 70s? No, he wasn't.
Terminator 2 is the best
Okay,
Terminator. though.
84. You're right. It's 84.
I was gonna say, it's like-
My
it's
bad.
like
a little-
yeah.
My bad. My
It's
bad.
a little
my
older.
bad.
Yeah.
But the problem is you can name any movie. I probably haven't seen it.
Do you,
Okay.
not watch, do you guys
Lord
not
of the
like
Rings.
movies?
Lord of the Rings. Okay, those I've seen.
Oh, got him.
But I'm a nerd.
So-
Any other movie, fine.
Yeah.
Really, just any
So
other
if
movie?
this is none.
What?
Do you
Star
want
Wars.
to do this again?
Star
Okay,
Wars.
so if this is none.
Fine.
I
Star
love-
Wars.
we're
Those are the
going
only
to
two.
do-
Other than that.
You guys
Okay,
are bad
hold on,
mouth.
no,
Thousand. Love it.
If
Anyways, I guess we can just
Sub
move on,
price.
Mister. I've never seen
I-
any movies except for all the ones we named.
Exactly.
else
Of the
none
two, yeah.
here.
Before,
So now this will become none. So
maybe we
price
should
will
just stay on
become.
topic. I know it's gonna bring us
and
back
here
on, but
onto
that, this is
none,
kind
so
of
we have
good.
to also say
Name a
this
third
here.
movie. Someone name a third movie.
I went with Gladiator.
I have not seen that.
Here now. I see
Yeah,
it.
that's
It's
a
like
little more
Saving Private
exciting.
Ryan.
No,
I've seen
first
half
off,
of it.
Gladiator is not rare.
How,
Gladiator
wait,
was a
okay, whoa, stop.
Gladiator is one of the best movies ever.
Everyone
Really?
stop. How did
In
you
my
only
opinion.
see half of Saving Private
Can I tell you why? Can I tell
Yes,
you why?
please.
When I was growing up, big paintball kid. We loved to play paintball. We would go
Okay.
drive an hour south to go play paintball. It's called Cousins
we had to
Paintball
pretty much
in,
just do the
Tom's River, New
same
Jersey.
thing for all
and
of these
every
guys,
time we
too,
went,
which
we
is
would
interesting.
hype ourselves up
I wanna
by
get
watching
a
the
second
Normandy
opinion on this
invasion
one.
scene. We would get like an
That
hour
is
into the
very-
movie,
Full price element.
and then we would be done. Yeah, dude. That's what we
That
did.
is
Right, and
that
then
is
just go here.
dark.
Dude, I mean,
What?
That's what we would do. We were like 12-year-old kids, man. We had to get hyped up somehow. So
And that's how I
Yeah,
knew
total
I would
price
have a
limit.
job in
Literally people
security
getting blown
someday.
up. What?
Dude, we were going to war with paintball, man. Oh, yeah, we were teenagers, so I mean, like, give me a break. But yeah, so that's why I've only seen half of it. 'Cause we would get into the Normandy invasion scene, get like an hour into the movie, and then it'd be over, and that'd be it. We'd be there.
He's like, I
Okay.
still don't know what happened in World War II. Who won?
Yeah, I mean, did we win? Shit, I have no idea.
It looked pretty bad from that. I didn't. We probably weren't
No
gonna.
spoilers, no spoilers, please.
Yeah, no
Riddle
spoilers.
says,
Apparently, like
"Hey, Mike."
Oppenheimer, we had like a big bomb or something.
Hey, dude. Hey, how's it
When
going,
did that
Riddle?
even happen? Who knows?
Appreciate you for joining me again.
Confusing.
What have you been
Very
working on, my guy?
Well, let's get back on topic here. Okay, so
And
philosophically,
then we'll do the same thing, I
are
think,
you
for here.
saying that
Hopefully, this
all
is the
those
right way of
times
doing
when
it.
Riddle
people
says,
that
"How's the
rolling my
project
own
going?"
off is for losers and people who want security issues
Product
may not have been correct. Is that true? Is that what you're saying? Low-level learning,
product
chief expertise
info.
of security?
I mean,
product
chief
info
expertise
is
in
none.
cloud, incorrect. No, but yeah, I don't. It's tough, right? It's just everything you do anywhere, including in programming, including in like system architecture, is a choice in risk. And what is risk? It's
So I'll
probability
say
that a
if
thing will
product-
occur, and if it occurs, what happens, right? How bad is it? The probability that Google Cloud
Info
goes down all the
is
time is
none.
fairly low.
Riddle
so
says,
not
Right.
"I'm
impossible,
busy
but, like,
preparing
you know,
for
it
my
could
uni
happen.
exam."
So I don't think it's bad if you use Google auth. There's nothing wrong with that, but you have to consider that in your calculus. Like, well, you know, how mission critical is my software? If Google goes down, which it definitely could, are people gonna get hurt? Kind of thing. Like maybe medical providers shouldn't be using cloud auth for their stuff if it's a complete necessity that they get into it. So I don't think it's bad to roll your own auth. I just think you have to do the math
Riddle
on
says
what
that's
makes
why
sense
I
for your
couldn't join
application,
the
you know?
streams these days.
It's kind of rough too.
Oh,
I
no worries,
think,
dude. You're
like,
good.
at least
I appreciate you for
from
joining me
a-
today. That's what
from a
matters.
user's
Thanks for coming in.
perspective, or, I mean,
Time is valuable,
when I
dude.
say
Time is
user,
really
it's someone who
valuable.
uses,
So
like,
honestly,
cloud
stopping in
services.
for just a minute or two
It's a
is
bit
really
tough
just
too, because
that's a lot to
one of
give.
the things that seemed to get exposed by this particular crash, at least when I was kind of looking at people's reports on it, was that a lot of people didn't seem to know or maybe could not have known that they were relying on someone who was relying on Google. So I could even imagine somebody who's like, oh, don't worry, we like use 2 different storage providers or 2 different auth providers, not realizing that actually they will both go down.
Okay, so I
if
wanna see
Google's
what they think
quota
about
server
this.
goes down, right? And so one of the things that kind of occurred to me during this crash, not being a security professional, so I don't really have to think about this for my job, but it just was kind of floating around my head. Was
I'm
I
gonna
was like,
take this code here.
you know, it probably should be a requirement somewhere for these
I'm gonna
kinds
go
of
into my
services
GIP,
that you get
and I'm gonna
diagram
say
where it's like, what are all
how
the things
does
that
my
you actually call out
none
to,
checking
so that I can look and
look
if I want
for
to do a
the,
redundant thing, I know that I
query
need something where the Venn diagrams don't
for the,
overlap. Because if at the end of the
elements.
day all of these people call AWS,
I am
then
trying
really I have no
to
redundancy
set
at all.
the
Because as soon as
final
AWS goes
values
down, all of my stuff goes down or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And I
to
realize no one's
none
probably thinking
on
that way. Like
no
people, like the web is not really
detection
about uptime. It doesn't
of
seem.
the
But like, let's suppose you were.
parent
It would be interesting to be able to get that, so that you could just kind of know. Okay, if I use this and this, they're fairly disparate. Whereas
You're
if
on the
I
right
use
track.
this and
You're
this,
checking
they
parents
share
and
a bunch
children
of
before calling the
services,
method, which
so
avoids
there's probably
the
no point,
attribute
because I'm
error,
not
none
really
type
getting
of
any
object on no
redundancy. Does that make
attribute.
sense what I'm
A
saying?
couple
Yeah,
places
no,
where
it
none
makes
handling
sense,
can be tightened
but
up to make it safer and more consistent. Good practice. You're already using if div.
If
div is not none before query selector.
close to us drawing UML, which just
Oh,
generally
yeah.
speaking here at the
Returning
startup,
none for
we're
missing
very
elements
against
instead of
UML,
crashing.
so that already sounds
Spots to
right. We just
improve.
need, like, a universal language for
Description, title,
modeling all
extraction,
the
you do
services and
this.
their dependencies.
You want Grady
And
Booch
So
on
we
here. You
await
got
the
some
product
Booch, you
info
gotta
query
Booch it up.
selector.
I
Booch
don't
it.
want Booch on here
Booch
talking
is
about
coming on.
UML.
I'm gonna call him up. I don't know him, but I'll call him up randomly.
get him on?
Hey Grady,
This is
what's
perfect.
going
Oh,
on, man?
this is perfect.
You don't know me, but
That's
I got
a
this
query
podcast
price.
that no one wants you on. Apparently, could you come on? Yeah. Okay. Well, No, I'm not talking about a
issue.
UML diagram, but I guess I
If
am
total
sort
price
of
div is
scenarially talking
none,
about maybe like what
you
do they
never
call
hit
this?
the else
A
in the last
systems
statement.
architect diagram, whatever the hell they call that little thing where they draw a bunch of little cloud shapes and then they write a name in it and then there's arrows. I mean, I don't actually need that because I just need the list, right? I just need to know like what main services, you know, are you depending on or something like that. But I do think that would be interesting to know just from a from an architecture standpoint, because it's like if you're thinking of this service as just an endpoint you connect to, and so you're just thinking what is the chances that that goes down,
Never hit else statement.
you may not realize that really that and some other thing, they will go down at the same time if this other third service they both depend on goes down. And that's like to the
So
point
this says,
low level was just
hold on, so this says that the total price div await product info query selector for the price. Get the current price div. Then get the element if the total price div is not none. If the total price div is none, you never hit the else for the last assignment. Sets that to none. So now if the price element is not none. So the total price equals to none if total price will override. Okay. That sounds good to me. That's what I was going to do earlier. So for total price here, we'll set total price equal to none out front. We'll get the div. We'll say if total price div, then we'll go ahead and query for the total price element inside that div. Right? Now, if this gives back none, we'll say if total price element, then we'll override total price. So I'll do the same thing here for subprice equals to none. Right, we'll query for the subprice div. If the subprice div is none, well, do you have to say if subprice div is none or if subprice? So just if. So if total price div, then we'll query for the subprice element. For subprice element, if we have if subprice element, then we'll override the subprice. Okay, so then a size.
saying about like calculating that risk. That's an important part of the risk
So
calculation.
then a size
right?
we want
you have
to
to know which things are independent, because like the chance that Amazon and Google have an outage on the same day is pretty low. But if actually they're secretly both using each other's stuff, it's very high. And you need to know the difference between those two things. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that when, like, as a result of this, Google had an outage, but it also caused Cloudflare services to
Yes.
go down.
I
Not
was
in
just about to
time.
ask this. How did that happen? What was this? Because I guess I was a bit shocked when Cloudflare was reporting things going down afterwards, because I heard this was like a Google-related thing.
Yeah.
And so I was very confused as to how
currently
the other services went down.
on
They have
the-
this
Explain any
worker
of that?
service thing they do, and it relied on Google Cloud apparently.
Oh, were they actually related? Was the Cloudflare
Yes, I
outage?
believe that was the case. I thought
Oh,
I think.
so that's the only outage I heard of was the Cloudflare one. So I didn't realize they were kind of like one in the same.
I think they are.
Which
Is
is
that-
really
is that
funny because
correct
at the
level? I don't
conference we were at a Cloudflare booth and we were like showing them the the status, like, hey, you guys are down. And we just like walked away, dropped the
Really?
bomb on them.
At Render
Oh,
ATL,
man.
you were literally
The P
walking
tag
up to
extracts.
people who were
I think-
sweating bullets.
So it
I think
extracts
Hacker
a size
did
and
it,
exert.
or somebody.
You're damn.
You know,
Hey
like, I don't know
man,
what
your
you're talking
site,
about.
your entire service is down. Have a nice conference.
Sorry, I'm looking
Uh,
at the
guys
report
should
by
pack up and go.
Cloudflare, Cloudflare's report went a lot more in detail too than Google's did. So it looks like, yeah, Casey said workers as well as, so what is it? Workers, warp, access gateway,
So we'll
images,
say-
stream,
Okay.
workers AI, turnstile,
If
autorag, I
tags.
don't know what that is, and Zaraz. So
there's
like
a lot of
a
their stuff.
ton of services are downstream dependent on Google at what you would call, you know, a CSP, right, a cloud service provider. Which is just, again, to Casey's point, like you can't make a sane risk calculus if you don't know like the probability and the outcomes
if the
of
length
what's
of
happening.
P
So like if
tags-
Google is like the core, call it center of gravity,
Right.
right, of all of these things.
So watch, I'll do like this.
If it goes away, what happens?
N is equal to the length of P
because you're not
tags.
exposed to that, you can't make a good,
I'll then say
a
if
good call.
N
I have a
is
question for you, low level.
What's up?
So obviously, like,
you say your question, Trash.
I'm gonna
less
say
than
my
or
question,
equal
right? You ready?
to
3, 2,
3,
1. Hold on.
then we're gonna go
Articulating,
ahead
articulating.
and
Okay.
go
So if you let's picture like a big company,
for a
Yeah.
brand
like
element,
Amazon or something.
Yeah.
Stop.
right?
Let's say you were like
Dude, my
Netflix.
whole
Let's say you
train
just to
of
pick
thought
a
is
random.
Right, we're gonna get a
company,
brand
like
element.
Netflix,
Dude,
let's
I was
say.
thinking
We'll
about this
say
question for like 10 minutes, and it's just like,
brand
okay. Let's just picture I'm like
elements.
Mr. Amazon, and I have a big company. It's so many teams. It's hard for me to find like which team is actually dependent on something that could actually like the dependency waterfall, right? Like how do I, like if, when you're consulting or have you seen this in practice, like how do companies approach this, like to know that you're like the single domino, like if you fall, we're all like fucked, right? Like
Yeah.
because it seems like when things
Brand
like this
element
happen,
goes off of the size, brand,
it's clearly like
condition
not
div,
in
and query
anyone's, like,
selectors for the
personal-
only anchor
Yeah.
tag in there.
I'm gonna
Okay,
say I don't have a
gotcha.
good answer to this.
So brand element's
I've
not
worked
impacted.
at big places and I've worked at small places, and inevitably what happens at companies that get big is their knowledge management solutions begin to suck very bad.
This
and
is the
people
only
in
anchor
you would call like
tag
principal
in
engineering positions
the
know less and
size,
less about like the actual
condition,
principal engineering
brand,
concepts of the architecture.
div, right?
And so,
So
at the end
if
of the
the
day, like,
if the length of this is
nobody
2, then we're
probably
gonna get a
knows the totality
condition.
of like what you depend on, and I'm not sure there is a good
Right.
answer. I mean, I think the real answer is like you have to have a single
it's
guy
less
that
than or
probably
equal
knows
to
the entire
2,
setup and have like
then we're
a
gonna
good place that
get a
everyone can go
condition.
reference and see like kind of what Casey said, like the UML diagram of the architecture, right? Like, hey, we depend on Google here. If it goes down, we can make this risk calculus. But there really isn't a good answer to
So
this.
we'll get a
Probably why
condition if it's
this-
less than
not that it
equal to
keeps
2,
happening,
meaning
but,
we
like,
can
that
always
this is
get
able
that
to happen,
one,
'cause no
and-
one's really aware how it all
Then if
kind of
it's-
glues together. It's
if
hard,
it's not,
especially a
else-
company as big as Amazon or Netflix potentially, where
Just
they're
pick a
just
random company.
Just
random,
get a size. So
completely
no matter what,
random
you'll get a
brand.
size.
So like
Also-
so question for Prime. So obviously we have like chaos.
So we'll
monkeys,
say
chaos monkeys,
if
like in the same spirit of
N
I don't really know
is
what it
equal
does at a low
to
level.
I'll
0,
tell you what, Chaos Monkey, Chaos Kong,
we're
and
going
Chaos Gorilla,
to-
or Chaos Gorilla, Chaos Kong. So we have 3 of them.
I had no idea there was 3 of them. What?
Hey,
I
Trash,
gotta
let me
look
tell
this
you
up.
about Netflix since you work there and I don't. So at
So we'll say if
so
it's-
Chaos
if it's
Monkey,
less
what it
than
would do is actually
2,
target an
right?
individual,
elif
instance
elif
in Amazon, and it
n
would kill that individual
equal to
instance.
0,
And so that way,
we're
it's kinda
going to
prevent any
just-
sort of like stateful operations between 2 separate services where I'm caching, like I'm doing some sort of extracurricular caching and creating some sort of weird state dependency. It will start
how
just
can we
randomly
maybe
killing services
override
that runs
this
in production
to make
every
it
single day,
faster?
as
So
far as I
like
know,
if
at
it's
Netflix. Chaos Kong
if it's
or
less
Chaos
than or
Gorilla
equal to
will take out an
2,
entire service.
if it's less than or equal to 2, then the condition maybe I can unpack it. So if it's less than or equal to 2, meaning that we have 2 or it's equal to 2 or less than 2, we know we can get a condition and we know we can get a size. If it's less than or equal to 1, we know we can only just get a size. If it's equal to 0, we set them both to none. We say condition is equal to none and size is equal to none, right? Now if I say if it's less than or equal to 2, elif n is so no matter what, we can get a size at this step. because we know, well, if it's not less than or equal to 2, let's just do this. Condition and size, we'll go to we'll go try condition equals to p tags index of 1 except for an index error. We're going to set condition equal to none, and we'll try to say size, and we'll do the same thing for size. But for index of 0. Right. Okay. So brand is the only anchor type in there. So we'll query for that, say if the brand element is not none. If it is none, then we'll set this to none, so that's fine. Now clothing type, we'll say, okay, we'll wait for this container. If we have the container, then we'll query for list elements. So I guess we'll say clothing type equals to none out front here. If we have list elements, we're going to get the last one and get the content of that. Okay, so now what I'm going to try to give it my changes here. Let's see what it thinks about that. Let's get some feedback. Okay, I made some edits to be safer for protection, or have more protections and cleaner code. This version is definitely cleaner and safer than before. You've added good defaults and explicit checks. Right? Price slicing. I'm slicing pricing. Oh. So then we'll just do size dot size element. Did it say size element? Size equals weight. Right. Else this. Now we'll await here. Text content here. This condition is none. Interesting. I want to see how this kind of matches up to mine here. See how, if I have like on the right line. So weight, product info on this. Weight. Kind of does that just by default. So it kind of. Okay, so we'll just get rid of this. Then we'll say title element. Title equals to none. Title element equals to this. We'll say if title element, then we'll go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and keep going with our video.
That's why we have something called blue services at Netflix. So if you look into blue services, that's like how we do a lot of default responses and things like that. So if a service goes down, you're able to have some form of data coming up. That's why we have a default Lolamo.
So I'll do the same thing.
Because if you can't reach GPS or map or you know, all the things that go into creating, there's like Pitcher, there's Rex, there's all those services all together. If one of them goes down, then you get what is the default Lolamo, which is like the latest known, highest ranking videos that will all come down. So you'll get like Stranger Things right off the rip, even if you've seen it and there's no new episode.
Just to translate this for Prime, using knowledge I gained from Prime Stream, they use the word Lolamo to mean list of movies, I believe.
I didn't know that for the longest time.
Yes, but
Wow,
we
I just learned
technically
that.
are a Loloromo, which is a list of recommendation objects for movie objects.
Okay,
That's
then
Loloromo.
it's a
I
new
can
one.
explain that for another one. I actually was the first person to implement that.
Element,
It was very
brand,
tricksy,
it's gonna tell you.
but we got it done. Anyway, so with all that, then Chaos Kong, which is, you will see emails about that. So if you just search in your email Chaos Kong, it usually runs on a Wednesday, and what will end up happening is that we'll actually take down an entire region. So not just a specific service, we'll actually take down US East 1 or US East 2 or West 1 or somewhere in EU, and it will be ran in production. And usually it's for like 1 or 2 hours to make sure that if some region goes down, Netflix continues to operate correctly. So those are the 3 levels. And so this doesn't help, because the problem is that if every
we'll
single
say
one of
now
these
size
services
or
has
these can
some
be
sort of
none,
dependency,
right? So
say
we'll
on
say
Google, you
if
can't take down a
subprice.
region to test this, because you don't take down a region, you're taking down an external service, which would crash every single subservice, which would take down all regions.
Right.
And so there is no overflow
You say
mechanic.
none,
So
or do you say
very interesting thing to
pass?
do a Chaos Monkey
You say
with,
none,
which is
it's
to
subprice. Okay.
kill that
it's
service
subprice.
or a Chaos Kong. at
Okay,
least,
because
would
you have
be
to
kill that
check,
entire
because now we're
service for a
assigning
moment
it
and
to
see
be none.
how does
I have
your
the
system
option to
handle, say,
be
a Google
none
going down
at
or
the
a
start
something,
if
but
it's
then you
not
don't
found
also
on
know,
the
like,
render,
like
right?
you said,
So
like,
we need
okay,
I
to
would know that Cloudflare was going to get taken down because Google
keep that as an option,
did
right?
an
If we're going to
access
try
to a
to
no pointer.
edit.
I have
Prime,
a
I have an
proposal.
idea.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
I have a great idea. You guys can have this for free at Netflix. I'm just giving this to you. I'm giving this one to you.
I think he's on the same page as me. I'm curious what this is. Go ahead.
Okay. So
I'm
here's
not
what,
on the
So
same page.
maybe
What's
I
up?
can.
So here's what you do. Because obviously you do have
Maybe
a
I can
problem,
manipulate
because
this a little bit
Netflix
better
is
and
like
say-
the whole point of the service is I'm supposed to be able to play movies, supposed to be able to stream movies at home or wherever on my devices, and you get in this situation, Google Cloud goes
So
down,
we
Amazon
have
goes down,
content
whatever.
here.
Whoever's storing the data goes down, I can't get the movie. So here's what you do. You get a really,
subprice.
and I mean blocky,
And length.
compressed version of Baby Shark. So we're packing this thing into like a megabyte, right?
Okay.
And every single server node you have, no matter
Greater
what it's
than-
running, keeps that 1
Have to be-
megabyte
so if
in
we're
memory.
gonna slice off the
So
first
that if
character, it has to
everything
be at
goes
least
down,
2 characters long.
Netflix will just stream Baby Shark to everyone, so that at least something is playing during an outage. And then you can just be like, you can make
Would this
up
be a better
something
way of doing
about
it?
what happened. You're like, oh, sorry, you know, like our recommendation service was a little on the fritz, so it just decided that everyone wanted to watch Baby Shark, and then it will seem like you just have like infinite uptime. There you go.
Can I
Yeah,
tell
that's
you
a good
fun side
defensive
story?
tweak.
This
Right
just
now, you're
reminded me
stripping
of
the
a
first
side
character,
story.
probably
I
$1,
tried
right?
to
Only if.
convince our marketing
The
wing to
subprice
do
is
something
truthy, not
kind of
none, I'm
similar.
interesting. And the
Oh,
language
really?
subprice
In
is
a
too
similar
end up
vein.
with
So effectively,
with
they
just
did
a
this
dollar
once. So
sign
if you
or
look
if it
back
goes
in the day, this
into
must be
nonsense.
2016,
This is Abraham,
2015.
just makes
We
sense
actually
because
leaked, I think, the
sometimes-
2nd season of House of Cards early.
Okay.
And everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, House of Cards!" And then you got like for 30 minutes, it was up, and people could go watch it. So we actually like had content that we shouldn't have had leaked. And so then there's all these articles written, all this hype built, and all this. And so I actually wanted to, I know this is not actually related at all to your idea. It just reminds me of it. I actually
Greater than or
tried to
equal to
convince
two.
Netflix to leak
Yeah.
shows
Yeah.
more regularly just for like a half an hour, because then you get all these articles written and everyone gets super hyped up, and it's like such a sweet way to mess with people, and it looks like it's an accident, and so you can have this whole idea of like accidental content.
Right,
so
so
just be like,
'cause-
oh, our fault, you know, didn't
Well,
need to do that one.
And then publish like a
Let's
fake
say-
apology every time, right? It's like making up service names, like our Gorgonzola service failed,
Yeah.
and
If
then
it's
they're just like they don't actually exist internally.
Great,
We
love
don't-
Sorry.
Galacticus, you know.
Sorry, low level. You wanted to say something that was not my ridiculous baby shark
Well,
joke.
it sounded like you were going down the path that I was going to go
Okay.
down, but you didn't. It's okay.
You went down a completely different path, I think.
Yeah.
So it's
I
interesting
propose
because our listing
chaos
takes
schlong. Hear
it
me
says
out.
float
Okay.
What you
value.
Okay.
do is this is actually real. Like what you could do is you could create like basically a firewall red button layer in between a cloud
Oh,
service provider
float.
and like whatever service it is. So just like you're doing like Chaos Dong, what are they called? Chaos Kong. You know, Chaos Kong
Yes, it's
attacks
Chaos
at Netflix.
Dong.
You could
That's
also
something,
do,
yeah.
and then like, if it's a regional cloud-based thing, it'd be Chaos Kong Dong or Chaos. You know, if it's just for a small little service, Chaos Monkey Dong. But all you're
Right.
doing is you're red buttoning the cloud firewall to see like if Google goes away, what happens, right? My rate
Let's
is
see if this
roughly
still works.
$1,200 an hour. That will be $120. You can bill it to Netflix Trash. I'll give you my
So
info.
the
We'll be good
only
to go.
problem, obviously, the only problem with that notion is that there's all those third-party ones, like the Cloudflare one, that leaves your cloud or leaves your private network that you can control your whatever, however you're controlling the traffic through your private network. You wouldn't be able to control that, and so they would still remain up, which would hide where the problems were actually at.
Yeah.
And this
Looking
is
good.
this is like the sole problem, which is the internet is supposed to be distributed. It's supposed to be the people-owned thing, but the reality is that the internet
Looking
is
good.
largely power accumulated. You know, you
Can
only
you?
have
I'm
a
sorry. I
couple
think I lost you there.
services.
Can you explain why that wouldn't work again one more time? So you're saying
Okay, so let's say I have three
Yeah.
services. I have Google Login,
Yeah.
and I have Cloudflare Auto Rag, which I assume is something to do with AI. You would program in your little cluster of machines that any request going out to Google automatically explodes.
It's not a cluster of machines. It's called Donkey Kong or something. I don't remember what he
but
called
this
it. It was
is-
like
but I'm
Dong
describing
Schlong
the
or
actual
whatever.
architecture, the Donkey
Okay.
Kong Schlong.
Yeah,
right?
that.
When that thing's on, it takes the
Yeah.
cluster of machines and says, okay,
Yeah, there
any
you go.
network traffic that matches this regex, which of course don't do that, but let's just pretend you do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Matches this regex, we just return an auto 500. Okay,
That
that
looks
works
good.
on the Google sign-in.
So
but here's the
now we
problem.
can try
With
to
the
maybe work on
Cloudflare
the
request to
images.
Autorag, you don't solve because that
Yeah.
request to Google happens outside of your
I see.
purview to like affect.
You
And
would
so
need
that's
to-
where this big problem is that
You basically
can't
need a black
actually
hat team.
simulate it.
You need a black
Yeah.
hat team to go actually crash Google and see what happens for the day. And that's the only way to actually implement Donkey Kong Schlong or whatever it's called.
it's crazy. Lobo's been here for 20 minutes in case he's saying schlong and dong. True. I mean, couldn't you also catch this too if like? So I'm saying like basically any external dependency you guard with a red button that you can test, right? Because then like
Okay,
then
so
you can
now-
it's not so much like that you're depending on that to tell you when Google or Cloudflare or whatever goes down. It's more like you're able to test like, hey, from a risk
so
calculus
now
perspective,
what we need
if
to do-
Cloudflare. Oh, but you're saying you don't know the dependency, I guess. is
That's
your-
the problem. It's the same
Yeah.
problem I
Kinda
was
get
talking
the
about originally. Just
images
like
off of the-
if you don't, if this isn't,
off of
or
them.
worse
But then
yet,
we need to
I guess
save the
if you combine
images
the two problems that we've talked about, it gets even worse. Because like I'm saying, like, oh, it would be nice if they said what they depend on. But what you were saying, low level, is that like it's unclear that anyone at the company may even know
Wait,
the
the
answer
hash
to that
into
question.
according
Always
to
like, dude
specific
forgot that.
hash.
Oh, we actually do call like the Google service
Okay,
in this
so we
one
need to
place,
implement
and
a
we
hash
forgot
to
about that, and we
listing.
didn't put it on the diagram, and so then we went down because you know.
So we'll
blah, blah, blah.
say-
Yeah.
I guess it's like what I'm saying is just an observation of like this
SHA
increases,
3.
this decreases your ability to analyze your risk, and
So
there may
let's
be
look
nothing
up
you can do.
on the browser.
mean,
I think
here.
I'm in that team. I think I'm literally in the team of like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Like you
It's
know
like
what I mean?
either
Yeah.
roll your own everything or
Hashing.
forget
Yeah.
it. Like
I mean, do
right.
companies do that? Do people just like, I just don't want any dependencies,
Actually, I'm
and
so
we
happy
just
you said that. Trash. I'm so happy you said that because that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, which was my happiest part about this whole thing is knowing the level of tweets that were going to happen from DHH right after this thing started going down. I was so stoked. I'm like, here comes
So
DHH.
so
He's going to be
hash
coming
them.
in hard. He's going to be like, on-prem solutions. loving the
exactly. At what point do we just have it
Okay,
all
so-
under our own
He
roof
was living the
and
dream
deal with it?
life. They're like, oh, it went down. Oh, I didn't know that.
Was he
Tell
tweeting
me
a lot?
more
I didn't
about it
see.
going down.
Was he going nuts?
Oh yeah, he said there's even I saw more tweets about people getting worried about
So
DHH
we're gonna
tweeting than
incorporate
DHH
here
tweeting, but there were
a.
several of them.
That's
And
awesome.
this is like
I
my
love
favorite.
That.
That's my favorite aspect of the whole thing is that
We're gonna incorporate
someone who has
here
been right this whole time, who
a
everyone makes
self
fun of,
dot
and then the thing happens that he talks about, and he's
image
they're all like, "Oh, great,
hash
Here,
code
he's gonna be insufferable now." It's just like, or he's just gonna be right.
right is
and
equal
told you
to a generate
so. Mwah.
a
Okay, no
Chef's
one else
kiss.
noticed. Whatever.
self dot
Salt.
generate
I thought it was fantastic. We don't need
Great.
to discuss that part.
I was
image
living real life, touching grass. I missed it.
hash.
All right, so I want to tell you. So
Code.
something funny happened to me is that I was
Mike
streaming
says,
during that
I
day,
love this guy.
and
The
I got
low-level
done my
Casey
stream, I
Muratori.
ended at like a
Hey Mike, how's it going? Yeah, Casey. Everybody seems to like Casey. I really like him too. He's got a lot of really cool points, and he seems to be very, very knowledgeable and very smart. Honestly, he's very smart. Yeah, it sounds so. Me thinks he's smart. No, I really like him. I think he's got a lot of cool points, and he's very opinionated, which is fun too to listen to and stuff. He's got a lot of experience, which is cool to listen to.
I think it was the hour that Cloudflare went down, and then I
So
had a
let's
whole bunch of
call-
programming that I had to do. And
let's
I just
write
proceeded to program
a-
until like 3 or 4 in the afternoon, open up Twitter, and everyone's just like, "Oh, I can't work, the life's ruining, the internet's down." I had no idea the internet even went down. I was just in my own little world with my headphones
called,
on, and
Mike
I
says,
missed
"Yeah, he
the
is.
entire,
How are you, man?"
experience of the
I'm
internet
doing good. I'm doing
explosion.
good.
Yeah, I
kinda
literally had
feel
no
like
idea
I
either.
lost
Like,
out, yeah.
I don't actually know like what exactly
Mike
went
says,
down.
"I'm doing
like,
well,
in my
thanks
home.
for
Like, what do I
asking."
use every day that would've went down?
Everything,
No idea.
everything went
Nice,
like
that's
I
awesome, dude.
remember
I
like
appreciate
people
you
couldn't
coming in
we,
here.
like on our Discord people couldn't upload images.
TTS thinks I'm talking to
Could
myself.
Tesla
Mike,
start?
you're
Could you
talking to
drive a
yourself.
Tesla?
I don't have a Tesla. I
you
refuse
had
to
one,
use
could
a
it work?
computer that is connected to an internet. I mean, to a car that is connected to the internet. I think that's
I was
absolutely
like,
ludicrous.
Casey, you're on a computer that's connected to the internet, buddy.
Casey, I used to have that mentality. I used to like refuse to use
Car-
smart
I refuse to use a
thermostats,
computer that's
smart
connected to the
bars,
internet.
And then I just gave up.
You're on a
I was like,
computer that's connected to the
Don't
internet.
do it.
If
Don't
they're
do
gonna
it,
kill me,
man.
they're gonna
So
kill
we're gonna
me. You know what I
generate
mean?
image
No,
hash
I know what
code.
happened.
Image hash.
Your wife bought that Wi-Fi lamp. You
Dude.
uploaded a picture of it, and after that, you're just like,
GG. My
GG.
wife, love her to death. She's actually in the other room. She might walk in here while I'm making fun of her. She bought a lamp
GG.
that was like IoT, and to turn on the lamp, you had
Yep.
to download an app that connected to the lamp over Bluetooth. Hold on. And then you
Yep.
had to put your Wi-Fi password into the lamp for it to connect to the internet to upload its firmware, and then you could turn the lamp on.
Exactly.
Mike
Yeah,
says,
and
"Ha
then
ha
it
ha,
broke
no
itself
right."
somehow, and it's useless. It's sitting in my
Okay,
bedroom.
so we're gonna generate image hash code himself. So
It's
we're gonna
crazy,
say
man. So ever since then, and also I had to punch a
hash
hole through my firewall for it to
dot-
work. I had to make a separate VLAN on my network, and on that network I had to basically allow I block like traffic by country. I had to allow a different country into my network for that
Shazmi
lamp
says
to
up
work,
high.
which is,
Am I
pretty
the only
Was it
person who
Russia?
find Java easy than
China.
Python?
Okay.
Hey, Shamsi.
allowed Chinese
Never
traffic
heard
on my
of
Shazmi,
network.
Shazmi, how's it
Never
going?
heard of them,
Appreciate you for coming in. I never coded in Java. What's your experience with it?
Passwords. That definitely wasn't.
So we're gonna say
Worth it.
worth
Needed
it.
the lamp, baby. Needed the lamp.
Did it at least change colors? Was it like a
Oh yeah,
hue?
it was cool as hell.
Okay,
You can make
perfect,
it red.
perfect, worth
and
it.
it also had a timer in it that when you like, it's 6:30, sunrise is
readable
6:45. It'll slowly
buffer,
bring the
secret.
room up to light. It'll be like, and it makes like bird noises. It's like kind of a
Oh,
rad
I actually
lamp.
have a clock that does that.
Yeah, but it broke, so it's whatever.
I love how
Strange.
like no one can program without the internet. Like
Hash.
nothing you just said requires the internet at all. But they're like, you know what? We need this lamp to connect to China.
Do you remember
Because
clap
without
on,
that,
clap
The
off?
only
That
way
was the
we get
best.
sunrise in America is a server in China.
China, that's
There's
right.
one possible
Yes.
way.
That's
What it
the
came
new
off to
Ronald
me
Reagan.
as, we need a convenient way to ask
Morning
you
in
for your
America
Wi-Fi
ad,
plain
yeah.
text password, but like, I'll let that be what it is. Yeah, man,
Self
it's crazy. Like
title.
GPS exists. GPS has a time source. Just use that. I don't know why I
Source
needed Wi-Fi
condition.
access.
Yeah,
but-
honestly, peak
Unbelievable.
tech was the clap on, clap off lights.
dude,
You walk
bring it
in.
back.
Yeah.
Remember those commercials?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, old people? No.
They're all getting out of bed. They're like, "Can I go back to sleep?" Like,
That was peak technology.
yeah, dude, so good.
I will say the fact that we have to sign into something to use it, for me personally, is single-handedly the most frustrating aspect of modern life. Like anything that I purchase that requires that, I want to throw it out the window. And I recently got an automated dog food feeder for my dog. And get this, I want you to just sit down and listen to this.
We are
There's
sitting
no
down,
internet to it. There's no Bluetooth to it.
So what should we use to hash
It
this?
has a
We use
record
just the
button, so
title,
you can just be
size,
like,
condition,
Hey dog, it's time to eat.
and
It records
the
your voice up to 10 seconds, and you can have up to 4 feeding sessions a day.
So these can be none.
That's pretty cool.
We
So
have
you
this.
imagine that. Automated your
we
life?
We have basic technology. It
Yes.
exists.
We have this as well. We have this for our cats. It says Bon Appetit Tiny Puss every time. It puts the little
Let's
stuff out.
go.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it does.
Does it like in your voice, or is it like a
yeah,
song?
yeah. We recorded
Nice.
that.
I
It's
love
like
that.
Bon
Okay,
Appetit
can
Tiny
you-
Puss.
Wait, is that how you say it? Say it
food comes
again.
out. Bon Appetit Tiny Puss, and then all the stuff, the food comes.
What in the
He's Mario
world?
all of a
Chill,
sudden.
chill, Casey, chill.
Yes. And
Mike
this-
says
and
move
that's
IDK
the
what I'm
best-
talking
the
about
best
raw.
part about this is you have to remember this is an automated feeder,
Oh,
and there's
you
two of
ID
them
is a
because
good
we
one.
have 2 cats, and there's one for each cat, and these feeders go off. 4 times a day or
These are
something.
actually unique
So if there's
identifiers.
guests over,
Listen.
right? It's just like, oh hey, how's it going? And then like in the background, it's like Bon Appetit, Tiny Puss. And then it's like, it's just a cat feeder. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
That's
pretty
really cool.
awesome.
Dude, it's
actually.
totally normal, bro. It's just a cat feeder, okay?
Don't worry
Nothing
about it.
weird
4
about
puts
it.
a random
But okay,
UID.
so this cloud thing, we got to get back to the cloud thing.
Like,
We
hey,
have
just
the-
kind of like,
Okay,
all right,
we
we're just
have-
blowing past that.
Prime is like,
Forget
I've
it.
never heard anyone
I
call a
am
cat a tiny puss before.
Trying to.
That's
Oh,
new
dude,
to me.
I
That is new.
love.
I'm trying to plan out how I want to scrape the images for each product page. Now, there's more than one image, so what I plan on doing is storing them within a JSON script or something, like a JSON middleman file where the keys of each JSON object pertaining to a product is the hash code of a specific listing class. So, or I could use UUIDs instead. I was thinking I could use a hash 256 and just use a string, which would be the person's name or the listing's name and description and size and condition, all those strings combined and concatenated together. But those string values could be, those actually instance variables could be none rather than strings on failed inputs, right? So we would want to probably use a UUID instead, so we can get a output no matter what and don't have to check for type, right? What do you think? That's a good point, Mike. I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to Mike in chat. Great question. You're really thinking, let's break it down. You want a unique, consistent identifier per product listing so you can store product images multiple per product. Associate these images back to a correct script JSON file. Hash a product attribute, pros, deterministic. So hold on, let's see. Rewrite your response,
Mike
but
says low.
don't show me code. If you generate a product key by hashing together details like the listing, description, size, and condition, you run into 2 issues. Some of these fields might be missing or none, which means you'll need to sanitize and convert them before combining. If any detailed changes, like a typo fix in description, the hash would be completely different, so you lose consistency. On the other hand, if you generate a UUID, you generate a unique identifier no matter what data is missing or changes. That makes it simpler to store and retrieve product data without worrying about collisions or broken hashes. Hashing works best when you must derive the ID deterministic from the product details and can guarantee those fields are always persistent and stable. Now, I guess I already have a unique identifier, which is the product's listing link, right? That is a unique identifier that will be dynamically changed to whatever the product is per scrape. So maybe I should just use the pre-existing link as the string, right? That's a good point too. Exactly. You've already got the most natural unique identifier, the product's link. The link itself is guaranteed unique. 2 products won't share the same URL. It's stable across scrapes as long as the product exists. The link won't change. It saves from intervening any UIDs. Okay, cool. That's what we'll do. So then what we'll do is we'll have self.image hash code is equal to so we'll set it. Should we set it to none or should we set it to just
Mike says, yeah man, I love that you're using GPT-2. I have it pulled up as well.
Yeah, I just like to talk through my ideas with it, and you know, I sometimes feel guilty, like maybe I'm not learning like I should be, but honestly, like I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons and like the sunk costs of like digging through articles and, you know, forums trying to find an answer versus getting one like right away. Like there's definitely value in digging through forums and finding the needle in the haystack, but there's also a lot of value in like cutting that cost and that sunken time out and just obtaining and learning from a solution. But I don't like to learn from like direct solutions, more like related solutions or just verbal, right? I never really like to look at code.
Mike says, me too man, but I think you learn anyways.
Yeah. So let's say, do we want to say that the image is hash
Combative
code
Core
is...
Alf says, cheap viewers
Oh,
on
get this
streamboot.com.
guy outta
Remove
here.
the space. Mickey1v8w. Mike?
I have 100% the same thought. Yeah, I'm constantly kind of in this moral battle of like, okay, when do I like kind of... Sometimes I'll dig through a forum just so I kind of get exposed to that kind of way of thinking. So, like, you know, rather than like every 10th or 11th or so question, I'll go do a forum search or Google rather than just go straight to the AI. Because I do want to try to break it up because, you know, there's a lot of merit to what the people in the past have learned with the tools that they learned with, right? Because obviously they've come up with a lot of this stuff. So I feel like there is a lot of merit to what they've been able to come up with. So we'll say...
Mike says, yeah, I do lead code problems still to keep myself learning, you know.
So maybe I'll say, yeah, so self-image hash code.
Mike says, exactly, I couldn't agree more.
I guess we'll give this. Image hash code will be a stir or, right, no matter what. And so we'll just provide this equals to image hash code. And then we will strip all of the white space off of the ends just in case. We will also, yeah. Because these shouldn't have any white space at the ends. No. This will be our hash code, these listings. So then what we'll do is we'll go back to our Depop scrape and we'll provide a image hash code equal to the product URL. Right, so we have a URL and we're combining that with the prefix of depop.com, which are these URLs here. And then we are opening that, you know, that now full URL. So we can take the URL we're looping through here, and what we can do is just easily set that value here. Nice and easy. See, when you've kind of structured the loops nicely, it really helps to, you can kind of, the code kind of works in your favor when you kind of make things clean and think about it ahead of time, I guess. Like when you have a class here that you can just easily add on an attribute and just kind of merge it in. I don't know. I find that that's kind of helpful with object-oriented. What do you guys think? What from your guys' experience using OOP?
That is
using the word. I totally
You like using the word?
I abuse that so much.
Should we watch a different video? Let's watch.
All right, today is another. Let's see, hold on. Welcome to the stand-up. We are doing dev horror scenes. Everybody is laughing at me because this is take 2. Guess what? We are going to hear some of the
That's me. I do
craziest
that
stories.
too.
TJ has guaranteed that Trash would love his dev
How's the
horror
volume?
stories.
Let me know
So,
how the
TJ, why
volume
don't
is,
you
you
start us
guys.
off?
Okay, so here you go. I'll tell
That
the
might
story
be
right
too
here.
loud for you guys. Kind of more of like a nice, chill listen in the
anyways,
background.
This is my first real job outside of school. I'm working at Epic, the medical health records company, which is
So then what we'll
important to the
do
story
is we'll
to know
go
that
to
it's
listing.
not Fortnite.
Mike says you know about sanitizing
And
inputs
I
and
worked
such.
on an
That's
application
what
called
I worry about.
DataLink. DataLink is basically a way that we turned
Mike
like
says, and
insurance
everything is good,
claims
man,
into
thank
medical
you.
data for you. So like Trash, if you were traveling around and you broke your arm or something,
So I'm
right?
gonna
You
give
jujitsu'd and stubbed
a-
your toe, but you were in like Florida instead, right? You would make a claim, and then the insurance
here
company
we'll
would
go.
send those claims back to like your home hospital network, so that it would be like, hey, your doctor needs to know that you broke your toe at some point, because people just literally forget, right? So it's like you broke your arm, you got this surgery, whatever, all this other stuff happens out of
And then we'll
network. They
say
want to know
that,
back at your home place so you can get better care.
Hash.
The problem with this is twofold.
Which is the
First one, it's a
URL.
dev horror story from before I was there. Sales promised that it would be done in 3 months. Not a doable project in 3 months. Took 9 months or something like this. This was before I got hired. To be clear, Trash, because I already know you're going to say it's my fault. I wasn't there. Okay? I wasn't there.
Sure.
It took 3 times as long as they said it was going to take, and then they had to delete the product
Okay.
because it didn't work.
So let's see if this
And
works.
was putting patients in danger the first time around. They literally got all the hospitals to remove it, and they did a new version later. Okay? So it was off to a rocky start for round 1. I get hired. We're in the midst of round 2. It's working like reasonable now for most cases. It's kind of working. So I imagine that there are a lot of horror stories that I didn't get to hear about round 1. But here's
There we go.
the thing
Image
that happened that
hashes,
was
they're popping up. You guys can't really see,
that I know
but
Trash is
hold
gonna
on.
laugh at. I know it for sure. So
I'm gonna try
so
to
we
do
get
Down
these
at
things
the bottom
called
there, image
patient safety
hashes, URL.
escalations, right? Which means somebody reported something crazy happening in a hospital because that's your thing. It's not, did we,
So
you
then
know,
what I'll
like
do
stream the wrong
is
movie
I'm
or
just gonna
something? It's
quickly
like, did we
alter
accidentally
this.
potentially kill somebody, right? So just to be clear, before we get out there, this never
is
actually hurt
IMG's
anybody. We're
hash code.
confident in that. We did a whole bunch of research
IMGs.
afterwards and anything. But
This is
the
plural.
thing that we
There's more than
found,
one,
the reason
so
that this got
images hash
surfaced,
code.
is a doctor
Right.
was looking at a new mother's chart and was
And
going
then
through the
let's
chart,
say,
just recently had her baby, going through all the procedures, and about 3/4 of the way down on the chart, he sees an external procedure done on her, and what does it say? Circumcision. The reason this
Bro.
happens is because when you have a baby, a lot of times insurance companies charge everything to the mom's insurance claim ID. So they do a circumcision on a little baby. We input the claims. We say, "Oh, look, it's on mom's insurance ID." You put that right on her chart. She gets back the week after having a baby. She's at her child visit. So it turns out, so we find this out. So this then spawns an entire, big problem, because we're like, holy cow, we could be putting procedures on the wrong people. So we're looking into everything. We're like
cool.
calling, industry. Like we have a bunch of people on staff who
Yeah,
are
let's see
industry
if I-
experts
how
and
that works.
everything.
pull these
Obviously,
out.
like this one, it's not so bad. It's chill. It's like, yeah, it was obvious. We
Show you what's
fixed it,
going on.
and it was good. The one that was much more like potentially
Look
dangerous
at us, we're
in this
coded.
scenario,
Look
but
at us
also
coding. Wow.
due to a bunch of
Who would've
other
thought?
Swiss cheese factors, like if they actually got covered, it never happened.
Developers, are you tired of code reviews that just say looks good to me, or here's 7 things I need you to change that are irrelevant to the PR? Well, meet CodeRabbit, AI reviews right inside your editor. Starting with VS Code, Cursor, and Windsurf, sorry, no Vim yet. Hit review and bam. Out comes feedback even before you open a pull request.
that's
CodeRabbit
nice.
can help flag bugs that your vibe coding with your LLM bots missed. And with one easy click, it can send all the context back to your favorite agentic tools for quick fixes line by line. CodeRabbit offers a generous free tier with up to 50
Slow
code reviews
says
per
Codders.
day. Grab the extension now at
Coders.
coderabbit.link/prime-VS code.
That's
Links
it,
in the
that's it.
description. And ship cleaner code today.
The other crazy one for this, which is why you don't let sales drive what features you're going to do, is there's a bunch of problems that exist that you need industry experts to actually tell you, is when you get a transplant. So like, Trash, if you gave your liver to Prime, generally, at least
Look
in
at
the
all the
US,
products coming
the
in. Look
insurance
at them all
company just
coming in.
puts the person that the
Woo!
procedure is going on. If you're the donor, it always puts it on the donee. What's the person who receives? The recipient.
Okay.
it always just puts the claims on that one. So this didn't ever actually happen, but like it could have if we had had the scenario. But it was literally like it would be like donate liver, got liver, right in a row.
So
or like
what I think I'm gonna do would be smart to set up, kind of like an internal system as the business would be to have a set structure for how you set your descriptions, right? So obviously we already have 200 and something items right now. So that might be difficult. We might have to figure out how we could go through and maybe potentially edit them, or just maybe start afresh from here on out and encode in some workarounds for those items that are already pre-existing. But it might be beneficial to have like a template description that we can then parse even further, and we could get inside the description. And why we would want to have this template description is so we could extract out information from the description that we would want to kind of explicitly kind of tailor into the program ourselves. So think about it like this: is if I want to
Mike
give some
says structured
information.
input that you can automate. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the sequence, dude. Mics are in waves. We are in waves right now. So like, think about it like this: like if now why would I want to do this? Well, each of my items has in my database, or in my internal database, like physically on the tag itself has an item number, right? So it's in the database, and then that's associated on the tag with an item number, like literally 1, 2, 3, 4, in order of what we got the item, right? Now I could set up something to generate like a unique kind of hash number each time, but right now we just went incrementally 1 through whatever, because the business is fairly simple. It's just simple items. Each item is unique, and so there is no duplications of items because it's vintage clothing. So finding a duplicate of an item is really, really hard. So typically we just treat every item as a new item. There is no duplicate items like where you can buy 5 mediums of the same SKU. No, there is a unique SKU every single time, because it's a luck-based draw. We curate and we go to Goodwill and whatnot, and we curate and find whatever we get is lucky. And if we happen to find a duplicate item, then cool. It's a whole new object in itself, is how the business itself we're treating it. So we could insert into the structured description the item number, and then we could get out that item number, right? And so just in case we change anything in the description, which I think would then change the URL, because I think Depop is using, if you can look here, Depop is using the first couple of words of the URL, right? These look like the titles, but I believe that these are the first couple of words of the description. So, right, I think these are the first couple of words of the description. So that being said, like let me open one of these. Like if I open one of these, this is American Vintage Men's Yellow. Description is 1970s for the Vintage Men's Yellow.
Justosophy says,
right?
Ahoy.
So if we come here and look for 97 Sons Valley Butter Yellow, right? So what we could do is, just in case we go in and edit a description or a title, how we can solidify, we need to have some sort of data point that does not change no matter what system this item is on. It is tracked uniquely. It's in itself, right, across each system off this one intersecting data point. And everything else, from the name, the title, the description, the key features of the description, all that kind of other stuff can change, right? Because we can go and update and edit if we have typos in the description, or you want to just make a new description because you want to make the listing better or update it or whatnot, or whatever. Like you need to change the size. So like things change on the site, and so if we if we are trying to match objects one-to-one in between parses, I feel like that could introduce a lot of problems, because if we're matching equality of listing objects that we're making, right? If we're matching equality of listing objects through each parse to then detect if any of those objects A are new, right? Meaning a new listing, or B have changed from a status of available to sold, right? That would indicate, so it would just get messy if it's thinking that we have a new item, but it actually was listed, but it thinks it's a new item because the description changed or the title changed. So what we should be detecting equality based off of is the item number. And the item number we can parse out of the description. And so it needs to be mandatory that the item number is given in some format in the description, whether it be the first entry point on the first line or the last entry point on the last line, I think would be the easiest way to do it. Or if we just look through the string for a certain key phrase, such as item number, colon, and then space, and then there's the item number, and then we could easily extract that out with a regular expression. So what do you guys think? Mike, SS Low, Justosophy, what do you guys think about that? Thanks for coming in, you guys. So like that way we could easily, stabilize that this item, just because all of these other, attributes that it has, slightly altered, the item number itself remains firm. And so that is the base, or the linkage between our website and Depop and the physical listing and what else, and the physical
Mike
item.
says yeah it would. Something that does not change.
Let's talk to the GPT about it. I want to talk to you about another idea I had. Currently, my idea for the parsing algorithm is so that I can go through my site and detect a couple of things. Well, detect if there's any new listings, right? So if anything is new within the previous, compared to the previous data set or the previous parse, then we have a new listing, and we can update our database and find that and say, okay, it's been listed, and we could probably cross-correlate it with our database, or just have it be automatically, so that it automatically just loads things into the database as we list them or whatnot. Now, the thing that's currently happening is the other kind of thing or opportunity I was wanting to use this for would be that we could identify which items flipped from available to sold on the Depop. So we could easily detect, okay, this item is now sold, this is how much, and then we could, go in and set pricings or go from there, right? Maybe it's kind of beside the point to go that far. We could do a little bit more manual entry, or we could make it fully automated somehow, but just little steps by little steps at a time.
Mike says you could
But
set up a trigger exactly so it auto-loads.
I was thinking, like, right now we need a way to compare previous parsings or previous listing objects to one another, right? So, and if we're doing that by order, I think that's a bad way to do it, just in case the parses out of a different order, or it's filtered or something, on the page itself. But I also think that it's a bad idea, to compare. We need a way to compare these things. But if we're comparing objects one-to-one, a listing from a previous parse to the current listing, and comparing equalities, then that will be hard to do for a one-to-one object. We would need a key factor between them, or a key kind of linkage data point, and I would think that this would come in the form of like an item number, where there is a solidified number or string or identifier that is in the description. And we would need to have a kind of as a business, establish a kind of template description that we would follow, so that we could go through in our program and use regular expression and parse out this item number to then build within the class. And so if we're smart as a business and set up like a template description, so it would make it a lot easier for our program then to go ahead and find
Slow says speaking to
specific
GPT
regular
is so
expression,
convenient.
and move on from there with that unique identifier specific to that listing, that isn't the URL, but so we can actually link it to A, the database, B, the Depop, C, our website, and even D, D, the physical item with the tag on it.
David says been lurking for months now. Love to see how far you've come.
Yo, David! Thank you. We got a 3-minute prompt here on ChatGPT. 3-minute long prompt. That's a prompt right there, boys. That is a prompt. Let's go. Essay prompt. You're thinking along the exact right lines. What you're describing is essentially building a stable cross-system identifier that ties together the online listing Depop URL, the internal database, your website display, and even physical inventory item with a tag. Here's how I break it down your idea and refine a little bit. You're totally right. Comparing by scrape order is fragile. Listings could reshuffle, Depop could change sort order, or your scrape might miss one item in a pass. That makes position in scrape meaningless over time. Why a business side unique ID is powerful. If you standardize your listing descriptions with a unique item number, you get consistency. The same number will exist across Depop, your internal database, and your physical tag. Your parsability. Regular expression can reliably grab that item number from the descriptions. Cross-referencing. Even if Depop changes URLs, categories, or order, your internal ID remains constant. Inventory traceability.
Mike
You'll
says
know
why not
exactly
compare
which
the
physical
URL,
piece
or
maps to
unique
which
identifier
digital
of
listing.
sorts.
This approach is how a lot of resale/e-commerce businesses avoid chaos. They give each of them a SKU, UPC, or custom code and bake it into their ecosystem. How to layer identifiers. You don't have to choose only one. Think of it like this. The Depop URL, guaranteed unique, good for external scraping/detection. The business SKU, your item number, your stable truth tying together Depop's DB, database website physical item. And the database primary key, the UUID or auto ID, primarily for database housekeeping. So detecting new versus sold. New listing, a SKU found in the scrape but not in the database is equals a new record. A sold listing, SKU exists in the DB, but scrape shows that the status is sold to update the database status. A change listing, SKU exists in database but scraped attributes, price, condition, images, etc. differ. Price condition. You could roll this out gradually. Start by adding item numbers to your business descriptions in a consistent way. Yeah, because Depop, I think, uses the first couple of characters to establish the URLs for each product. And so if we go ahead and edit the descriptions in a unique way, then it will impact the listing. So that would change our, hard coded or our hard identifier in that front. So we wouldn't want to use the URL as this, we would want to link together, I think, the item number, right, that we would kind of write on the tag, and then that gets, translated up through the business. Now, because Depop, we never know if they might update their site or the way they do their links or whatnot. And so if we don't want to rely on them for keeping track of our items. We want to keep track of it and just insert into the description in a specific point with a regular expression, item number, space with the item number, and then every single time that every description has that key identifier with a unique number. You nailed the distinction. The URL or listing link is a foreign identifier. It belongs to Depop, but they could change their structure tomorrow. Hash links differently, add query params, change domains. If you rely on that, you're locking yourself into their system of identity. That's fragile. When you actually want a business-owned identifier, something that you control and that persists regardless of how Depop or any marketplace structures their listings, that's your item number. By embedding it consistently in the description, item number 1,
Mike
2, 3,
says
4,
if you were
5,
going to hash
you create a
it would have
stable
to be
primary
what does
key
not
for your
change as well.
inventory, a way to reconcile your internal database with any external listing scrape, protection against future Depop changes, edits, or relistings. In practice, your workflow becomes assign item numbers internally or tags in your database on the inventory spreadsheet, embed them into each Depop listing description in a predictable format via regular expression-friendly pattern, scrape listings. No matter what Depop changes, use your item number as your identifier in your database, not Depop's link.
So then what we would want to do is, so image hash code would just be the item number.
Mike says, yeah, ooh, good idea, Mike.
So let's actually
Mike
just
says
override
lol.
this to item number, which is going to be an int, or yeah, I guess it would be an int. I mean, do we want to have it be an int, or should we have item numbers be like kind of more like unique in terms of like UUIDs? Okay, we could just have it incrementally go up. But maybe we want like consistency, like a 6-digit code for every item, and a 6-digit code that could be alpha or alphanumeric, right? So maybe we could build our own randomizer kind of function to give us a random digit between 1 and 9, or 0 and 9, and then give us three random numbers between 0 and 9, and give us 3 random characters, or give us another 3 random numbers between the ASCII values that correspond to capital letters, and then convert those into ASCII characters. What do you guys think about that? So we could use the UUID, but the UUID is just too long, I think. I could use like UUID to generate item numbers, but I just feel like those are too long. I'm thinking like 3 numbers and 3 alpha characters would suffice for enough combinations of items, right? How many permutations would that allow us? And I think I could easily just write a function that would give me 3 random numbers and 3 random numbers that would correspond to capital ASCII letters. Are great for uniqueness, but they're way overkill. Something you'll be hand tagging and visually reading. A compact alphanumeric code is much more usable. If you go 3 digits plus 3 uppercase letters, here's the math. For each slot has 10 possibilities. With 3 slots, that's 10 to the third. And for each character, there's 26, so 26 to the third. So 17 million okay. More than enough for a realistic inventory. Hell yeah. Let's go. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna open up a new crap. Okay.
Mike says, can you pull it from the item description or something like that?
Yeah, that's what we'll pull it from. But I think I'm gonna write a script, like just a completely out, like not even related, to generate these numbers for me. Like, so when I get a new item, like I'll have like maybe I'll make it like a little tick enter like window that I can just say generate. I can just click generate, or maybe I'll make it a terminal script. It'll just generate me a new item number. That'll be really easy, right? And then I could put it in a set of item numbers and make sure it's not been previously used, even though the odds of that happening is pretty large, pretty high, pretty low, I mean. So let's just write a quick, so we have item number, so say self dot item number equals to item number. And I guess we'll call strip just to make sure.
Slow says terminal script W ASCII art.
Okay, so item number. So let's go ahead and say this is self dot item number, and we'll say
Mike says, use static decorator.
static decorator. Oh, you mean like well, I'm passing it in on construction. Is there more than one static? No. So if we say item number here, so then let's go here. Oh, you're wanting a listing generate. You want to use a static method for a method inside of here for the listing, rather than its own script. Interesting. Because I was gonna. I kind of want to also make sure I don't have duplicate item numbers.
Mike says, yeah.
So let me go back to the Depop scrape here. So this will be item number equals to pass. So we'll just set it to none for right now.
Mike says, up to you though.
How could I? So let me go into here. Let me go server.
Slow says you can have a set of existing item numbers to check from when we're creating new one.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly my thinking. Nice. So gen item number dot py. So I'll say def main, and then we're gonna have set, or we'll say with open. We're gonna open item numbers dot py or no dot txt. We're gonna open this in read mode as file. Right? And then we're gonna say used numbers is equals to a set so could I already have, could I do this? Should I say item number, or say used numbers is equal to file.read lines. That'll give us a list of all of the lines. Now, hold on, I want to say for file.read lines, for file.read lines, the backslash when you read lines in Python, a file is as is, or returns a string as literal. Now, rather than looping end lines to strip.
Mike says, generating a unique ID or like that could be used in a utility function like the static decorator. I think that's like the primary use case for it. But ask GPT before you trust me.
Rather than looping any lines. Rather than pass. Yes, instead of looping end lines, you can use strip-like functionality when reading lines, but with read lines itself. Use read.splits lines is the most concise way. This automatically splits the files into lines and removes all trailing.
Slow says, can you also make attributes static in Python?
Well, a static attribute, does that really make sense? Like, I mean, because the static method is like just a method or like a function that just actually has no direct implication for the class or the reference or the self-reference. It just does something. So it would, yes, like this would be a good use for a static method for this. You know, it has some relation, but it doesn't actually need any passing of the class or self references, right? But if we had, the thing is I want to check
if
for.
So, you can have both the set of created item numbers and the item num creation static.
Yeah. So does that loop through each
Mike
item?
says, technically that could also be an attribute as everything is an object. I think. Slow says it makes sense. BC it is used for all instances, not tied to a particular one.
So file.read.split lines. Right, and then can we call set on this? And then just say, say new number.
Mike
say
says, okay,
while,
we're cooking in here now.
Okay, we're cooking in here now. Let me up you guys. Yeah. So we say while loop. Okay, so say generate gen continue gen nums. So while, so this equals to true. While continue to generate numbers is true. So while the status is true to continue generating numbers, we're going to, I guess we could just say while true. Stupid idiot. And then just say break once we find a number. So we're gonna call new number is equal to new number is equal to generate item number, and then we're going to say if the new number in used numbers, then we're going to continue, else, I mean, we could just say not in used numbers, we're going to break and then we have new number saved, so then we're going to just return new number. Pretty simple loop there. So now we just need to write this generate item number. So def generate item number, and then we're going to say, so we need to import random. So char1, or say num1, equals to the random dot choice from a non-end node. So random dot random how do you do, I forgot, how do you do rand int between 0 and 9?
Mike says, you can use with open to open files as well.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. What? So we'll do a rand int between 0 and 9. Then let's just copy this down. We'll say num2 and num3. Then we'll say char1, or say char1 equals to random dot rand int. And so let me bring up a ASCII table. So capital letters
Mike says, yeah, my bad, I can't see him walking the dog. Sorry.
No, dude, all good. Walking the dog, that's cool, that's good. Late night dog walk. Are you international, Mike? Walking. What the dog doing, Mike? I took the dog for a walk a couple of hours ago before stream. Dog's in chat for Mike. He got that dog in him. Okay, so ASCII for capitals is 65 through 90. So we'll say cap letter range equals to range of...
Mike says, no, it's late night dog walk, you're right.
Late night dog walk? That's nice. Clear the head. Clear the old noggin. So 65 to 91. So we're going to say random.rand int between, oh, I guess I can't use that range. Well, that's a sequence, so I can just do random, right? And this pass in the cap letter range. And then what if I do, I'll say num range equals to a range of 0 to 10. And then we just say random dot random for let me pass in nums and num chars. Right? And we'll say for I in for num and nums. Right, we're gonna create a num right, for num and nums, we're gonna create a right, and then let's go so we'll generate a random num between that num range right. Random dot rand range. Oh, I think that's no. Am I dumb? How do you use random? Rand range 0 to 10. And then we're going to call new number plus equals a plus stir of the num. And then what we're going to do is say for in num chars, we're going to grab a char in a random range of 64, 65 to 91. Right? And then what we're going to do is go new number plus so then what we're going to do is put the chars first. Right, the chars will go first. We'll kind of make it so that that is inferred by this here, so it's easier on me to remember. And then, so number of chars, I'm gonna say new number plus the char, but we're gonna need to ord, is it ord? No. Sure. Yep. And then we're going to return new number. So we'll say if nums char less than 0 or nums less than 0, we're going to raise value error. See, sequence parameters. Sequence arguments cannot be negative. Sequence parameter hours cannot be negative. Okay, if we don't hit this value error, we'll generate a random number. Yeah. Right. Something like that. So then we're passing item number nothing here. So should we abstract this into a class method? And so we'll say, we'll write a function here called def open item, open used item numbers given the file. So we'll take this and this is going to return a set so if I say I'll say this and then we'll write def check item check we'll open with a function we'll check try with open except I'll raise the file not found, actually. I'm fine with raising it. It's not there. So if file's not found, so we'll use item numbers. We're gonna return use numbers. Right. Then we're gonna say, while true, generate a new number. If new number not in, so then we'll call used numbers is equal to open used item numbers given file path equals to file path, and we'll say it's item used item numbers .txt. So now if we run if main equals to dunder name. Oh, it's the other way around. Right. So now let's call let me print number. So we'll say we'll say try except for file not found. Right, we're going to say except file not found, we're going to say we're going to create the file. So how do you create a file? I totally forgot how to create a file. You say with open? Or you can use pathlib. And write text into it. So you have to text it in write mode. So we'll say we'll call this load used item numbers, rather. Pause. And then we'll say,
because both of those claims would be associated with the recipient claimant ID. Because the problem is medical insurance data is not supposed to be medical data, right? So there you go, Trash. The main one that I knew you would laugh at from that, though, is new mother gets circumcision procedure on chart.
Dude, I don't know if I could ever. I feel like working like in that industry is just those bugs are just like catastrophic. I feel like, right?
Oh yeah,
Open the
it's
file and
it's
create
not.
it.
I didn't like it. That's why I left. Like, I mean, like, Epic was fine to work at. I thought, like, I actually liked working there, all right, like, and everything. But, dude, when you have literally like multiple hundred millions
then
of
it just
patients
returns used
and
numbers.
like all of their medical
gonna
data
return
is
an
going
empty
through the
set.
system you're working on, it's a very different experience than like, oops, we like
Right.
deleted a document on accident, or like some photos got lost or something like that. Like everything is like potentially life or death.
So,
Yeah.
so now I have a
So
follow-up
we need to
question.
Yeah.
do
What's like,
generate
what's your
num-
testing
num
process before you like,
chars
roll this
is
stuff
equal
out?
to 3.
Oh, I mean,
No,
how
none
long do you
is
want to go,
also
Trash?
equal to
It's actually
3.
kind of like, you know, it's
Is
kind
it
of
good?
interesting.
I mean, it doesn't,
yeah,
have to be
I'll
like, it doesn't have to be like in depth. I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
is it like pretty hardcore or what?
Oh.
I assume
So
it
part
is.
of it that's kind of like so basically, like at Epic, generally speaking, they were changing this a little bit when I left, but they were moving more towards like closer to a rolling release. Like every 3 months they would cut a new version of Epic and they would try and get people on. But like up until then, they had basically like, you know,
Perfect.
every 3 years would be like
So
a
we'll
new version
say,
of Epic, right? Like classic enterprise software. You've got Epic 2014, Epic 2017. But okay, so for the testing thing, so
length.
what we would do is we had these big versions, and then you would need to, if you wanted to get a package
say-
sent back to people, you had to create like this thing called a special
Used
upgrade,
item
and they were like basically patches that
number.
got applied, and so we would have effectively like multiple like main branches effectively, like they're like environments where it would be like, oh, this is Epic 2016 with like the latest versions applied, and you would have some like
We'll print
ability
that.
to say, oh, they've
So print
installed
use
like
items
these things, or this
.txt
one depends
open.
on this, and it would do a whole graph and all
We'll
that
say
stuff,
file
and like
equal
actually
to
lots of
this,
really
open.
impressive tech like in that stack. But so basically
see.
what we would have is for anything you wanted to change, any change ever that ever got landed, no matter how small, no matter how big,
length-
you would do that in like our dev environment. This is just if you want to do it for like the main one. So like
Use
first we'll just cover mains, like our
numbers
current version of Epic that's coming out
greater
later.
than 1.
You would do all your dev
Greater
in
than
this
0,
big
we're going
main
to
like
print
shared environment. It has tons of test data like loaded in, like big
Use
scale, try out all
numbers.
this different stuff, whatever. You can play around with it, all these good things. So you got to get approval. We had a bunch of stuff for this, design docs, etc., project tracking, you know, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
For once,
Use
it's
item numbers
a product
detected.
where you think, okay, it's probably a good idea.
Yep.
Like most of the time you're like, guys, can we not do design docs? I just want to try the feature. But for this one, like for the example I said, if we had a design doc earlier for some of these things and had like pulled in people from insurance and
file.
billing, they probably would have called this out. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Okay.
could have been a solved issue. Anyways,
print
so then you do all your dev in this environment.
Uh,
We had our
file,
own whole custom
say,
source code, deployment, IDE, review thing, everything. All of it was built in because like Epic's old. It started in the 70s, so they built all this stuff all by themselves forever. And so then you would get here, you would get past dev, and then you'd have someone do code review. You'd go back and forth. You'd have to get it. They'd have to sign off. Which was like a literal sign. It wouldn't let you merge
Use
unless
item
you got
numbers
sign off from
detected.
people, stuff like that, right?
Right.
Then it goes to QA1. QA1, you get a QA person from your department. QA environment has a bunch of different setup, different environments, different things, different kind of like a different
File, use
deployment.
item
It's
from
completely
creating file.
detached from dev. They go through,
Use
they
item
do all their
detected.
testing. They've got a test script, they've got regression tests, they got a bunch of stuff like this that they run. Obviously, like there's also automated testing and things that we did too. But like you would get a QA person to go test your thing. Once that QA1 goes, and if they find anything, you go back and forth, blah blah blah. You potentially need Dev1 to review again, depending how big the changes are. QA can ask like, yo, you need changes. QA1 gets finished. You have code review number 2. Code review number 2 happens. Different developer. Can't be the same one as last time.
Code reviewer or like testing?
Code review. So we did code review 1, QA1, code review 2. Completely different software developer.
How's that make sense? Like, what if the code review 2 asks for changes, and then now you have to go back through that whole testing process?
Yeah, if there's significant enough changes, you'll just kick it back. You'll kick it back to Dev 1. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yes, if it gets that far, then you gotta kick it back to Dev 1.
no used item numbers
What about the
detected.
code reviewer 1? Does he get in trouble because he missed code reviewer 2's?
Maybe if it was a
Perfect, so
pattern,
no
you
use
like
item numbers
the people who are code
file
reviewing are on your like app,
frequent.
so they're like on your team. So like we had the data link team. The data link team was like at various times between like 5 and 10 devs. So it's not like you would know if somebody's always just rubber stamping dev
File
1.
open, no use items detected.
Get 'em out.
Perfect. There's nothing in there.
Get him out. Trip to Karen's office. Put him on pip. Can't be messing around with that kind of stuff there.
Now we need
and so
to
then
save.
Dev 2 completes.
So we have to write one more
now
function here.
it moves into a
Dev
completely
save,
separate environment. QA2,
used,
a different QA reviews
item,
it. Everything checks out.
numbers.
It's good. Then it gets merged into basically like the
Right,
main
given
line,
file
like
path.
current branch for where all the
Sure.
code is and what's going on. So that's like the process for just getting like one change done and getting into like the current version of Epic, and then like that would eventually get deployed out to different hospitals
So we'll
whenever they're
say
ready to upgrade.
This, except
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then though, Trash, if this was a
Then-
fix
So
for
try
an
to open
important
this
bug
file.
or a feature that we wanted to
App
send
says
back to
Aiden,
people
we
without
got
them
teach
having to do
today
the whole
on
thing,
stream.
you'd have to do this
Hey, we got
entire
cheat on stream.
process again.
What's going on, Anan?
Starting from a different initial
So we're gonna
branch.
save the
Sometimes
use
could be
file,
auto applied,
the
but
use item
sometimes
numbers
not,
file.
because like maybe
So
there's
we're gonna
code
open it
used that
up.
doesn't exist in the 2016 version.
We're gonna say
now we're in the 2020 version.
and we're gonna pass
Go
in
back. You got to go do
used
that whole same process again,
numbers,
and it gets put
used
out basically as a new patch, a
item
special upgrade. Special
numbers,
upgrade
which is a set.
37,982 or
And
something
then
like
we're
this,
gonna
right? And then
say
that one could get sent back. So you
use
repeat that whole
numbers.
process again if you need to get it shipped.
What's that average release
We'll
time?
say
Like,
file
weeks?
dot.
Like you're saying from one PR starting to finished?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, obviously, it depends on like the significance of the
Dump.
changes. but-
Yeah. I mean,
Is
it
it
super
file
depends. I mean,
dot,
if you
not
like one of the
file
things
right?
that I did. So this you'll think this is kind of funny too. Sorry, we'll just randomly
Right
talk about this, and maybe
lines.
we can tell some
this
other
is a
horror
pretty
stories at the
typical
end.
We're off the-
stand-up. We're
use
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're off the
yeah,
rails.
yeah.
We're off the rails.
Tell us your horror story.
one
Well,
of the
let me take
things I
our
built-
release process.
Yeah. That is a horror of software
That is
dev,
a
to be
horror
fair.
story. Have you ever had code take months to hit?
This
prod?
actually
Dude,
seems like a
actually,
pretty
I actually have a
normal
tangent
embedded
on this.
process that's
So we'll
going
write
on here.
lines
Like,
of
this
the
isn't
item
that
numbers
Yeah,
and
like-
print,
Right, for
and then we'll
the
print.
for
Got
the
something else to
vertical
add.
that Epic's operating in, you're like happy to hear that you do all of these
Yes.
things. You're like,
So
oh, it
open,
moves
then we'll
slow. You're like,
print.
okay, well that's good.
This is good.
So like one of the things I built a little bit before I left, I actually
We'll go,
built a like kind
n
of
is equal
scuffed
to the
version of
length
Telescope, like the
use
Neovim
item
Fuzzy
numbers.
Finder. It's the thing that inspired me to later
say
try it out when I was
print,
done working there. But not for Neovim, because we
say
didn't use
you
Neovim. I had
use
Epic Studio while I was
item
there when I was writing some of this
numbers,
code. Like we had our own
save
IDE, which was connected to all the
successfully.
environments and all this other stuff. Although I was literally
Oh.
trying to write my own competing Neovim plugin
Hey, so-
distribution. Story for a different day. Now I forgot. Oh, the
Use
telescope.
item
Thing.
number
So I
six,
built
six,
I built this like
we'll
mini
say,
telescope thing to help our QA search for a
N
bunch
here.
of like
We'll
scripts
say
and other
F.
stuff that they could run. And then I built a like
Use
way
item
for them to
numbers
test
saved
data link,
successfully.
basically using like Excel files. Because the problem was all the stuff we were doing before was like this crazy manual process where you do something like load
No
claims
exclamation
into the
points,
data
no
warehouse.
joy here.
Data warehouse, you have to wait until
So
it
then we
ETLs
say,
back
if
into
the-
our claims in the actual Epic environment. Then that Epic environment,
So
you have
we'll
to
say
test
if
and do things, and
n-
then right. So it's like it could literally take hours or days for like some of these changes to go through. But you could force them manually, like if you knew what you were doing, right? So I wrote this
Okay, so
thing
hold on. So
that would be
now
like you
this
could
just
put in
says
the claims
opens.
in like an Excel table
If
you wanted as
opens,
like
then
an
we
input
say,
sheet,
write the files,
and then like you would have an output sheet in Excel, and
then
you
we
could say
print
the
out
things
the
you wanted to
message.
see in the patient's chart. And so you could write out all those test cases,
Okay.
and then I built a telescope
And
like
then we
fuzzy
say-
finder thing, so they could search through like hundreds or thousands
it.
of these like test cases.
That's all we need.
That's
was
pretty
to
cool.
save or
Later.
save.
Yeah, so it literally changed things
Then
from
we
like
say
something that used to
accept
take
file not
multiple
found
days
with
for
open
QA to
file
test
path
something
as
manually
file.
into
So we're
like
not gonna
less
do
than
that.
an
We're gonna say
hour
accept file not
and
found,
automatic,
save,
which was really like that part was pretty
print.
cool. And the deal like this too. The reason that I found
Actually,
that I
we'll
was
raise the
inspired for
error.
this idea,
We
I'm just
wanna hit the
poking
error.
around in random old code that we have in this crazy language called Mumps, which is also a software horror story. I can tell you
No,
about
if
this
we
after
don't have it,
this
we're gonna
track.
make it.
And we had our own custom Excel
Open it as
parsing
write mode.
libraries that I discovered. I was like, well, that's cool. What could
Wanna
you do with
open this?
that? And it was literally like, oh, we could just make it so that QA
Write
can like
mode.
write tests in Excel, and then like we can write code to handle these things. But it just happened because I was poking around in some random ways and found Excel
Well, with
parsing
open,
libraries.
in write mode will automatically
Yeah, a lot of
open
stuff,
that
lot of
file
stuff
in
going
write
on
mode.
over there.
Yeah.
Holy
Oh yeah.
There is a fate worse than death, and that fate is
I don't think
using
we
a
actually need
company's custom IDE. Like that just feels
Oh, it
like
was fine.
that just
So
feels
hold on,
awful.
It was
So-
better than VS Code, dude. It's 1,000
So
times better
for
than VS Code. Like no
saving,
joke.
we
Like it's
don't
not.
need
It was great.
to
It connected to
check
every
if
environment
file
automatically.
path
It would like you
exists,
could see diffs across
'cause
environments, and you could
with
check
Okay.
check out all
open
this stuff. It
will
was connect,
auto
dude. We had actual
open.
code review. You could like push this thing, and you could go check out the code. You were in the environment automatically. None of this dumb your environment scuffed. You're trying to do a dumb code review in GitHub, and GitHub won't even load the entire diff and all this other stuff. Like, dude, most companies like the experience is subpar
Save
using
the whole
VS Code
file.
compared to what they had at Epic, using a 1970s programming language called Mumps at a healthcare place, which is also funny.
That's all proprietary? That whole IDE was proprietary?
Yeah, they made it
Hell
themselves.
yeah,
They were just
Trash.
like,
That's a
Dang.
secret sauce over there.
well, it's not.
I'm
I
gonna
mean,
go
it's
get a
just
job.
like,
I'm gonna go get a job at Epic just to check this out.
yeah, I mean, like Mumps is a bad language, like it is, like it's true. They were working on a project to make TypeScript compile to Mumps, which was crazy, and like it was working. They just rewrote the backend where instead of emitting JavaScript, it could emit Mumps instead.
I've never heard of mumps. What the heck is
Yeah,
that?
well, it's kind of like NoSQL, but scripting.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I can visualize it now. Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like,
somehow it
honestly,
made it way
most
harder to understand
companies-
what it is. Can you describe it in
I know, it
any different
confused
possible
me.
way than
Why
that?
does not print?
That's literally what it is. So it's a key value store scripting language,
no
so
use
you
items
can like
items
do
detected.
business logic stuff on sparsely populated data
No use
sets,
items detected.
and you can like write it in the same language that you're
Returns.
doing all your other stuff. So like almost all the backend was in Mumps, and it's like a key value store language.
Was the TypeScript to Mumps compiler, was it called like MRR vaccine or something like that?
No, it should have been though. No, they just called it TS
That's
to
how I was
M,
going with
but-
this.
Yeah, they tried. So they never called it Mumps. You only call the language M because you don't want to
said.
keep reminding doctors and hospital people that your medical
Then
stack
empty
is
set
written
got
on Mumps.
thrown back to
Yeah.
here.
Well, dude, it's the classic programmer
so a
thing.
new number got generated.
Some programmers made this up at like Massachusetts University Medical something, right? So they
If
were
new
like,
number
guys,
not
know what would
in
be
use
funny?
numbers,
Like
which
we
is
should
not
call
what
this
a break.
programming language Mumps, and then because like the acronym's not even
Or
that
to add
good,
it.
you know, like
Yeah.
it doesn't actually line up. The programmers knew. They were working at a university hospital. They
Right,
made this
break
up and were like,
and
bruh,
print
pretty funny
number."
calling it Mumps.
And
I can't believe I
solve,
spend my days doing
save,
this. What the hell's wrong with me?
use
This
numbers.
is crazy.
I'm going down a mumps rabbit hole right
on
now.
File
Yeah,
path.
I can trash. You know
File.
what? We can do WTF Mumps, and I'll show you a bunch of
Here.
crazy stuff in the language. It'll be
File.
so funny.
Path equals to.
I will say, this is one of those things where I'll just be like, the serious note is like a bunch of people are like, oh, I can't ship productive software in this stack, blah, 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 whatever. Guys, Epic has made
File
more money
path,
than you can
use
possibly
numbers.
dream of. They're going to stay private
path.
forever. It made Judy many billions of
file.
dollars. It's like crazy, literally changed the
No, you
world,
did
and it's a language
save.
no one else in the entire
You use
universe writes.
Yeah,
Like
numbers
you
yeah.
can ship
to
productive
use
software
numbers.
in other things. Like it's just they deliver business value. They are doing stuff that nobody else is doing. Like so just
So
too
our
bad.
generate item number
Oh,
from-
you have to write Python at work or
Choose a random item
yeah,
from
if,
a range.
If you're solving the business problem, then it's going to be okay. So and actually, I kind of there were some things that were very
Christoph, the
unique
good
and
one,
interesting about
says,
Mumps that were
link.
actually kind of good. Like it's good for sparse data sets. That's medical records. Like, dude, medical records are sparse data sets.
Yeah.
We do.
Prime,
print
you and I have
chart.
probably almost no overlapping data in our health record. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, it's like, okay, we have maybe like that we got vitals taken the last times that we went to the doctor, but
Yeah.
like nothing else
Oh, I
is the
don't
same.
want to.
Yeah,
So
I
just
mean,
trying
it
to do,
requires
like,
me
some
to
sequel.
go to the doctor, but you know, I live in South Dakota. We don't even believe in doctors here. Okay.
It's just when the guy who comes out to check if the cows are okay,
I
he
don't
takes
wanna
your blood
shoot
pressure
this.
too.
Yeah. I sit in line with the dairy cow.
Okay, Trash. I'll come back with the presentation of WTF Mumps for you,
Oh my
and then I'll
goodness.
give you the
God.
rundown. I'll give you the rundown.
Oh,
I know, Trish.
Okay.
I know. I'm not.
That was a long. We're not even know what we're talking about anymore at this point.
Trash, what else do you want to know about Epic? This can just be your time to ask me about that, and then we'll just be done.
We need to preface
No,
that.
I
Like,
want to hear
Epic,
Trash's horror story. Trash is
Well, I
like,
kinda
oh,
want
I got
Casey to
good
hear it,
ones.
though.
And so I'm just
Yuki
like,
says,
okay,
"What's up?"
lay it down. I want to
Well,
hear it.
I have a. I don't want to do. I want to do like a round robin. Like, do you guys have more than one? I'm assuming.
That was the one that I wanted to tell, was that
Yeah, I
we
have one.
accidentally put circumcision on the mom's
Okay.
chart. Right
I mean, I
after
have like a
baby.
list that I can go down. So I'm analyzing the list
Yeah,
here.
pick one.
Okay, I
Trash,
have
you
one.
wrote. You have a list of these? Do you write them down after they happen? Of like, this is a memeable moment in my career.
No, these are like early in my career. All right, these are early. Well, yeah. Okay, I got one.
All right, hit us, Trash.
I'm not gonna say any company names.
Netflix.
But I will say it's not my current company. 100%.
Government contracting.
Okay. Are you guys ready for this? So.
Oh yeah.
So.
What am I doing wrong here?
One would think you want to load test and prod, but we did, and I'm gonna tell you
I don't think
why.
it's printing.
So when you look at, sometimes you look at sites and it's populated by some
blank
data that
screen.
looks simple, but behind the scenes it's typically not. You have like different data sources and other things like processing it, ETL, whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not as simple as like, let me just query one database and all that
There's
stuff.
our
is just there.
bug. There's
It's just
our
like,
bug.
20,
All right, we got it.
20 plus databases potentially. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening in this case.
All right, cool.
But let's just imagine that's the case. So usually when you have all these data sources and you have to kind of aggregate that, you usually use some level of caching, right? Because you don't want to hit those data sources constantly, especially if you have a high
interesting.
traffic site, which would
So
be like
if
in this
I
case.
have
I don't know,
a
but it's
set
pretty high. It's
of
pretty damn high.
numbers,
So
Like tens
I
of
want to
visitors a
write
day or what?
TXT
at
on.
least.
Okay,
At least.
that's a lot.
At least.
Sick. That's
At
more
least.
than I've ever done, so that's cool.
So we wanted to, obviously when you load test, you just want to, when you stress test, you just want to see how your infrastructure reacts. So we did load test in our lower environments, but it's like that classic case of where obviously your prod environment is just not like your test environment or your staging, so you just
Yes.
can't get that data, and which is like literally the classic issue in like any tech company, right? So we're like, well, we need some real results, and we were conscious of like how much it can handle. We did everything like we could to be like, okay, is this a good
What
idea or is this a
the
bad idea?
fastest way?
But it sounds like it's still gonna be a bad idea.
Yeah, you flip a coin, and
Faster
there was
versus
heads on both
avoid cutting
sides, and the
on
heads
the loop,
was
such
a
as
bad
possibly
idea. So check this out. So this site, we do heavy amount of caching because of the amount of requests we get a second.
Okay.
And what we do is we have like, we wrote up
Right
our own internal
lines.
like cache buster for like specific paths and stuff. But we only clear the cache at low
Right
peak
lines
times
will
because
go F
when you clear
stream.
that cache for like 1 second with that much traffic, it's just like pretty catastrophic. For
So
whatever
we'll write
reason,
lines,
and this,
and then
we're
we'll put
testing
backslash
like
n here. so
not
we
like
get-
peak time because that's just
So let me delete this.
almost as dumb as load testing in prod. But we were load testing like at a relatively low like active
No, we
time,
don't
like
wanna
during
write
work hours or whatever.
that
People are
literally.
Naturally.
I'm not gonna say what kind of site it was, but for whatever reason,
Okay.
the cache got cleared on one of these instances at the same time we load tested, and it took down our site for about 30 to 45 minutes, which is like absolutely unacceptable. One, you can't log into the site. Two, you can't sign up to pay us money to get to the site. And like
Oh,
as soon
it's
as
a
it
set,
happened,
right? So we have
we
to
started
say
seeing tweets. We started seeing things on LinkedIn, and like me, it was just me. It was like me and two other engineers, and we're just sitting on a call, and we're like, "Yo, is whatever working?" He's like, "Nah, man." And I was like, refreshing. I was like, we just kind of sat there like on a call, like literally like just like we're doing now. We're kind of staring at the space, and we're just like, okay, so try refreshing again. We're just like,
So
like,
hold
man,
on. Why did it take so long? Like, could you just restart things? Like, what went down that took so long to get back up?
It's because it's so connected. Like, it just goes so like it takes down. It basically dominoes a different infrastructure.
Okay,
Right.
microservices. I've heard of these. Okay, yeah.
Basically, right? So when the cache clears, all of those systems downstream get overwhelmed.
Let's
and they
generate a
just
bunch of
topple
numbers
over.
here. Let's see what
And
happens.
not only does it take out like prod, it takes down other systems that are dependent on those systems. So it's kind of just like
Ah, look at all those item numbers. Let's
it was
go.
like literally the worst thing that could possibly happen to me. We didn't get in trouble. I mean, it got like but like
I mean,
it was
you no
probably
longer
it was,
work
it
there,
was at least
Trash.
it was at least top 3 worst moments of my life.
Okay, so when you said load
For
testing,
sure.
what were you
Pause.
load testing, or how does that work out? What were you doing that that caused this? I'm still a little bit nebulous on that.
Okay,
So
perfect.
we're
So
testing,
that's our
like,
generate
very
item
request
number.
for
So then we'll
So
say
we have let's just talk about we have layers of the cake. The topmost layer is the layer we own, which is built on top of the caching on all the underlying pieces. So we assumed the caching was at right below our piece, right? And the top layer is not that important. Like everything below that is like the most important part. But we had like some
Wow.
logic, and we wanted to just kind of like test the CPU readings and see like how it would react to like X number of requests. But
It
I mean the whole
reacted.
it reacted. It was like a freak accident where the cache has never been cleared. Okay, that's all I'm saying. But we were just testing like just literally, do we have to how many containers do we need up at like X amount of time, right? Just to have like a steady baseline, and that's pretty much what we were looking for. And it turned out that was a bad idea. Like like I said, we load tested in staging test, but it's just not the same. It's not the same. Well,
Trash. The thing I wanted to ask though,
it's not the
you
same.
said
I
that
got
was
more
was
now.
17,
you said that was in your top 3 worst
17,
moments.
576.
I'm now very curious. What are the top 3?
Yeah, give us.
I have another really
Yeah,
bad one.
give us one more.
Okay.
This was probably my 3rd year into professional software development, where I mainly just wrote PL/SQL. Like all I did was just do database stuff.
Oh yeah, Trash.
So
Data
I wrote
warehouse.
Oh, a cute little
like.
bug here. So if you hit a duplicate, you get a print.
I wrote like
Wow,
this
that
whole
was
pipeline
a
that basically
duplicate
maps
item generated. That was a 1 in
soldiers
1
to
point
sign
and
up for
17
classes.
and a half million
So we have like
chance.
these benefits that allow soldiers to, sign up for classes at these whatever universities that will accept them, and based on like their zip code or their status or whatever,
The
they can go
lottery.
some certain direction. That's not important. But I
Hit the
built like this
lottery?
whole mapping system of just like stored procedures, and the TLDR is like basically on sign up day it's pretty much havoc. Like everyone's like I want the, when you sign for classes you want to get the best class.
Yep.
Or you have the
11
schedule.
a.m. or later.
Yeah, you don't want
Nothing
to
earlier
get you
than
don't
that.
want the 8 a.m. one. You just don't.
Yeah, you want all my classes on Tuesday, and I want like a 2-day school
I'm
week.
gonna
But
take 4 days off so I can get a lot of work done, and then
Yeah.
Monday night rolls around.
So, but let me preface this: we tested the bejesus out of this thing, as one would expect, because people sign up for school. And I also want to preface, like it wasn't just like all me; like it was like a shared responsibility of a
That
team.
was all you.
Okay.
Okay.
It's not
Okay,
like,
Josh.
hey, we need to write this, and they just looked at me and you're like, it's all on you, buddy, right? But I wrote like a lot of the core stuff, and I was like super into like SQL. Anyways, we tested the crap out of this. We launch it. It goes through like
You
a
did
big
stored
testing
procedures,
process.
right?
Stored procedures. And
So
it
file
goes through
text
its, it goes,
open,
it goes
use
through
item
its testing
numbers,
phase, just
item
like
numbers
with
detected.
Teach, right? We have like UAT, code reviews, and we actually have like multiple layers of testing before it even gets to UAT, which is user acceptance testing, for those who don't know.
I will say.
So we're very confident,
N is
like
equal to the
99%
length.
confident this was going to go
We
very
use
well. We were
numbers
like in a
here.
war room on
And then
like
we'll do
the day
get
it's
rid of
launching.
get rid of
And this is
this.
launch day is
N
basically like
is greater
or
than 0.
not necessarily launch day, but the day of everyone enrolling. And we have like all these dashboards up.
Print.
I have like the database. I'm like monitoring the database.
and
And initially things were going well.
Use
I was like,
item
cool.
numbers.
Like I was kind of looking at the data. And we had kind of had like a whole like diagram of like how the flow should look.
45.
And we started getting like the initial ones, not too
So
much traffic
52
because
so
time
file
zone's
open.
super early, but some
52
people were,
use
like,
item numbers detected.
do stuff
New
super
item
early,
number
and I was like, okay, like early signups or
generated.
something. So we could see like things were being mapped correctly.
File used.
But like on the main day when like everybody was signing up, for whatever reason the mapping just started going the wrong way. It's like when you go down a slide at a water park and I don't know, somehow that slide makes a wrong turn to the deep end. and we just started seeing.
That's not how slides work,
Like
Trash.
Yeah, I know.
Analogy.
That's a horrible analogy.
Trash,
I
run
was
it back.
gonna
Yeah,
turn
run
it
it back.
into it's like when your vein, it's like when your veins in your arm they make a wrong turn and they go to like
That's
your fingers.
also not how veins work.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Alright, try again. Just shoot
Those
it,
were my
shoot it,
two.
shoot it again.
Those were my two choices, and I chose the slide one because it was less
There we
worse.
go. So now it kind of has this kind of
But,
menu.
okay,
So file
so
opened.
The errors that happen,
53
it's
use
not,
item
it's
number
not,
read successfully.
it's not,
New
it's
item
not
number
obvious. It's not like you have
generated.
error rates
File
for things like
used,
going to
item
the
numbers,
wrong thing.
text
You kind of just have to
opened.
look at the data
And then 54 use item
and
numbers
understand like,
Yeah.
oh,
saved
that's kind of
successfully.
weird, right?
Yep.
So I had all these like pre-written queries just for like certain scenarios, just to like spot
Perfect.
check the data. And I started noticing,
All right, so now we have
obviously
this
the data
full
was wrong. I
script
was
here.
like, okay.
I
And
wanna
then
get
we
some
also built our
opinions
own
on
like
this from
CRM
the
system, and
Ghibli.
the system just started getting overwhelmed with tickets, and
All right.
people were getting pissed.
Yeah.
But anyways, like I wasn't there to like
Okay,
see the whole
I
process unfold.
wrote
But in the war room,
this
we were just like,
script.
"Holy shit! What the hell? Everyone's getting
Nice. The script is
signed up
exactly
for
what
the
you want.
wrong
Generates
thing,"
a
and it's not something we
unique
could just roll
alphanumeric
back
character number,
because
3
it's
letters,
kinda
3
just
digits,
Because of stored
letters, no
procedures.
duplicates by checking against a persistent
Yeah,
file.
you know how that goes.
Saved all
I had to,
numbers back to disk. A
I don't
few
even
observations
remember
and small
what we had to do,
improvements.
but we had to just
Uniqueness check. Right
basically
now, use a
accept what
while
was
loop true
happening.
to try to retry duplicate generated.
You just had to
With
accept
17.5
it,
million possibilities,
and then
duplicates
you
are
just
very
had to
unlikely,
fix
so this is
it
fine.
later.
If your inventory grows to millions,
You know what I
this
mean?
could
It's
theoretically
like one
loop
of those-
in multiple times. In that
So
case,
if
it
I'm
could
like signing up for
Like,
classes,
generate all
it's
numbers
not
and
like they're
shuffle
gonna
them.
go up to you and be like, "You got to
You
stop
could
signing up for classes."
pre-generate all
It's
numbers
just
and
not that
shuffle
kind
them
of
for
scenario. It's basically the person that's helping the person is like, "Oh,
Oh,
that's
okay.
weird.
So if you have millions of
we'll get
items
back to
already,
you."
and you
then
could generate the
that's
last like
basically-
5 million and
that's
just
kinda
kind
what
of keep
happens.
them already ready to go.
So we had to just understand where it went wrong, so we could kind of reverse engineer that logic and put people in the right place. So it wasn't like
Using
as
random
difficult as you would
choices
think
makes
because
the generating
you know these people had profiles,
letters
you knew
and
like their
numbers
PII
slightly.
or their information.
Okay.
So you could kind of, based off of like zip code and stuff, you can be like, oh, okay, this is mapped clearly because of X and X. But like at the time, you know, everyone's just like, well, this is not what I signed up for.
Right now,
This isn't the class I wanted. This isn't the time slot I wanted. So a lot of people's schedules got messed up, right? But it was weird. I remember sitting in the corner of the room, had my feet
file
up.
load.
I was just like very relaxed, very calm. And everyone just kind of looks at me and they're just like, why is it doing that? And I was like, well, I don't know. and I literally just had to sit there and just watch it happen the whole day while I was trying to reverse engineer why it's happening. Because like I said, we couldn't stop it. It just had to happen. You know? It's like a car coming towards you and you just have to just let it keep going.
You can lock out of here.
That's not what happens. That's
I don't know.
either.
Well, you can't stop a car coming at you. You're going to get smashed
You
eventually.
can move.
It's like jumping off a cliff,
I
and
was
then as you're going towards
standing
the
in
water,
wet
there's nothing
cement.
you can do.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's an analogy
Tidal
that
wave?
finally
Tidal
works.
wave? Yeah. Anyways.
Dude, Trash,
this
you're
wasn't
very
like,
bad at analogies. You should just stick
I
to
know,
talking
I'm
about stories. They're
so-
way
I'm
better.
so
Your
bad.
story's great
This was-
without them.
No, keep the analogies coming, please.
I think this was
Please,
like
I need more
2010,
trash
2011
analogies.
when this happened. This was like my first. Like the team was supportive. Okay, I didn't feel like I was like shamed or anything, but it was like my first experience of having a catastrophic failure. So you know, lessons learned. And again, it was a team effort, not all on me, but kind of all on me at the same time. So.
Trash, you're not up in your case, buddy.
Well, you know what I said? I said, well, who tested this? All right? That's what I said.
You
I
open
was like,
the
well, how
file
did this
twice
get
and
past
load.
testing?
I just get back to
Classic.
testing.
Load.
Classic rebuttal.
You really
Yeah.
can't. You really. I mean, did you also? Were you in charge of
Twice.
testing, Trash?
No. I have
That
a funny
would've been
story.
good, though.
I have a funny story. It's a side tangent. This project that I'm talking about, the passwords that our QA has been using, like we had like a password sheet. Those have been.
That's
those
where he
I
learned
use-
it from.
I literally use those passwords.
I was kidding. I didn't think that
No.
was actually.
They were so
So,
complex. Well, they're kind of complex.
Return set.
But I typed them so many times because I would use the QA accounts that they became part of like my being, and I just started using those passwords.
That's one way to handle it. So now I need to open the file
Yeah, like,
again.
what- how
clear
much
the
are
they,
option.
Trash?
That's
Give
the
me an
lore
example.
to my
Give me an
password.
example,
Not
like
even
an old
I
one that you
swear.
don't use anymore. Hit me with one.
Old password?
Yeah,
No,
something
No,
like
I was
that.
kidding. I was trying to
somehow,
Load.
that's
The
some,
save.
yeah. I'm not gonna do that, but it
Trash,
would
don't
somehow.
do it. Don't do it. We cannot leak your one password, buddy. Please. Help yourself. Save yourself.
Yeah, there's the lore for the one password.
Okay.
This project.
Okay.
I can't believe we uncovered. We're gonna have to tell Casey this when it comes.
Yeah, I know.
when
I
it-
got more
Really
stories
missed
too
out on the
after Prime
lore.
goes.
Like that.
Yeah.
I got more stories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it.
Prime,
Each
let's do
side
one from
saves
you,
each
and then I
item
want to
and
save a
opens the
few
file
for
in write
Casey.
mode.
We
When
can
you
do
write
we can run
update
this
is
back
set.
again. I want
It
to do a
automatically
part
creates
2
a
where
file
Casey
that
gives
doesn't
us some
exist,
too.
so you don't
Okay,
need
so
to
obviously the one that I
pre-create it.
can't do is the one where I
So then
created
let's
that
like
really
this.
horrible bug
Let's
for
say-
Netflix that got a named attack, the repulsive grizzly attack. I've already told that story,
Yes.
so
We already know Falcor.
okay, we already know Falcor existed. Okay, so
More
What's
like
that? What's
Failcore.
Falcor?
Am I right, Chad?
I could just
all right,
add
so I'll
one
tell you this
item.
story. Okay, so
I could write a
Thanks, Chad.
function
I was
to just add one, right?
doing PHP startups for a long
That'd
time,
probably be good
and in
too,
PHP
right? So
land, at
this
least back in
loads
the
all
day,
the files,
when
and
you
then
had
this
a
saves
static
all.
variable,
So
a
instead
static
of just
variable
loading,
would be
I
for
could
the
load.
life of the request because every request ran in its own process. And so
I
I
could
kind of had this
detect, and
mentality
then rather than writing
that
all,
requests,
I could
you
just
know, like
save-
static was just associated with requests for whatever reason. You know, things happen. You know, you just are so used to a specific environment, you kind of forget the meaning of what static is, and so it just like happens in a specific way. And
You're saying because it restarts the PHP process every time.
yeah,
like,
every
per
request
right?
is its
For the
own
people who don't
PHP
know.
process, right? So that's
Yeah,
why
right.
like old PHP was so slow. And so
Yeah.
I remember going to Netflix,
I
and I had to kind of come up with logging for all the
could write
UI.
a new method.
Because we just didn't have
to
logging. Like, we had no
append
logging for
one
anything. And
new
how this got started is that
item
we started
number
releasing these originals. And what would happen is that
to the
we needed to
file
have an
for
original, and we
speed.
needed to have its art
That
for
would be
just like the
faster if
box,
adding
the
one
box
item
art.
to
And
the
then there's
whole set
also
every
things
time,
called
and I'll
roller
save it on
panels.
the whole file, which
Trash,
is
I think
fine
you
for
probably
moderate
remember roller
sessions, I
panels.
suppose.
Roller panels were the tall
Right.
ones, and
By
then you also had
creating a
these like
pen method, you can
ultra
open a
long
file in pen
boxes, and then
mode.
you also had it in Korean. You also had it in Portuguese. You also had it like so it had all
So
these like subvariants
this
as well.
will
So
load
every
the
single
file
image for a show had literally like 100 assets related
called
to it,
save
and we
these
just had
items.
no idea what places of the world just
Then we'll
didn't
go,
have
we'll do this. We'll say
those images.
save.
And so my boss
On
was
the
just like,
file
can you
path, we'll
fix
say
that
saved,
problem?
use
And
item
so I was like, dude,
number.
I got this. I got a great idea. So I went out to go come up with like
Right,
a
which
really
you
good
gotta file
idea.
path, use item
And my
number,
first
which is
swing
a
at it
stir
is that I just
in
forgot that
append
static
mode.
is not on a request level thing.
We're
It's
gonna
just that I
print
was so used
these
to the
files here,
PHPs
so
at that
open.
time that I started
going
writing it that
to-
way. And so that was like a whole situation that came in because for like the next day I'm just like,
Right.
why am I like I just made a request but I'm in Brazil. Like I know this is from me. This can't be
Use
real.
item number.
And the thing is that mistake is really stupid and small. But the thing that really got me wasn't that I made that
Right,
mistake.
and
It's just
then-
like, hey, you've just been in PHP land for too long. You made a small mistake and all that. But my boss at the
say-
time, Jeff Wagner, was just like, he's just like, this is ridiculous. Open up the
Print.
code. And I opened up the code. He's like, dude, your variable's static. And like having your boss who doesn't program point out the most obvious thing in the universe, like, yeah, it's for the lifetime of the
Item
application.
number.
It was like by far the most embarrassing moment of my lifetime
Append.
to have a non-programming person walk up and be like, hey, your code's wrong and it's obvious. Like I can
Append
see it
save
from here and I don't
successful.
even program. It just like it just felt so horrible. And I just remember, like, that was by far, like, the part that I was just, like, the most personally sad about things is that I made that mistake, and it was so simple not to make that mistake. Oh,
Like
my
this.
gosh. And so my stories are much smaller and nicer than yours. I've actually had very few
Yeah, but that looks good. You're using append mode to ensure that the file's
very
created if it
few,
doesn't
like,
exist.
production problems.
And that appends the new number to the end.
So I don't
Writing the
have a lot of
backslash
stories.
end ensures that the
Except for
item
the big,
saves its
big
own
one.
line.
Except for the big,
Yeah,
big
the
one.
one where we
memory
took down a big
sets
company.
Except for the really, really
still
big one.
Yeah,
tracks
because I
uniqueness,
always
so
would,
it won't
I was always
accidentally
usually in charge of writing, like, the
append
libraries. Like,
duplicates.
that
This
was
is a
just the
clean,
library.
efficient way to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, so if you like trash,
If you
I'm
want,
sure
you can
at some
merge
point,
into
if
your
you were in the
mains
UI
and
side, you ran into like the Atlas Mantis logger for all of Groovy and all that. That was
Yeah.
like my first attempt at making all the UIs have a
So
unified
then
ability
let's
to
change
log
our function here.
anything about them, which we had
Of
none. And the reason why we had none, fun side stories. I went
save
to
use
the
item number.
the Atlas team, which if you don't know Atlas is like
say
a
save
kind of
append.
it's kind of like a tag storage database where if you have an event, you can put a bunch of tags, and the combinatorics of the tags
append
is how many
save.
different types of data will be stored inside the database. And so that way you can have like instant lookup. Like I want to slice the data in all these different dimensions, and so you can see for the last 2 days 1 billion requests. You can see that in like absolutely no time. So it's like a really cool thing. But I went to the team and I was just like, hey, I'm writing this stuff for the UI and I really need access to these APIs. And they're like, oh, you guys had access at one point. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, we don't let the UI have access to these APIs anymore. And I'm like, why? And they're like, they spent like $1 million in a day, and we took it away from them.
You can't play with this
You're
toy
not
anymore.
allowed to play with this toy.
54,
So I actually had to
55,
program
6,
things in there to be like,
LEZ,
that's probably not a good
SCC204.
idea to store, right? Like we had to be very careful on these
58.
things, and I had to get things whitelisted. Just to be like, only these values
Allow
the UI
listed.
is allowed to store. Don't even try that with me, TJ. I'm gonna deny list that request, TJ. So that was a lot of fun. My only other my only other really big one was, I've said the story once or twice, but I think it was Lady Gaga who was having a movie come out on Netflix, and there was like this big countdown billboard, and I was in charge of rewriting the billboard and kind of getting it more into a modernized version of React, where we had a little bit better like kind of layout of everything, and I just get done with it, and we have this big countdown billboard, and they had all the studio execs and Lady Gaga and all those people getting ready for the billboard to have this like countdown, and when it counts down, it's gonna like show her movie, and it was gonna be so awesome and all that kind of stuff. But I just like messed up the testing, and when it went down to 0, the whole page would freeze.
Generated.
And so like so I just like totally broke the product. But it was only like 7 people who saw it, which was just like just the execs and the people who were concerned about it, dude. I just broke it in front of them. And I received very angry emails from that one. Oh no.
Nice. The 7 most important people.
Yeah, it was just like,
I know, right?
we even looked at the stats. It was literally like 12. Like it was like such a small amount, because it was, you had to like reload the page within like 30 seconds of the video gonna go live. Like, so it was like such a small fraction of people that would even have the chance to see it. It was just all the people who needed to see it saw it not work. Like if they would have just refreshed it a second later, it would have just like been like, oh yeah, it would have worked.
It was just the hierarchy up the company from you to the top. Who saw it?
If Netflix was like the Illuminati triangle, it was the eyeball that saw it.
This is
I was in trouble on that one. So that one was very embarrassing.
This is the 61st.
That's pretty much all my
generated.
embarrassing stories are those ones. I don't really have any other embarrassing stories. I really didn't. I almost never broke prod.
I got like a couple that aren't like terrible, but they're kind of like, oh, now I know, and I won't do that again, kind of thing. So here's one. This one's not my fault, and I hope whoever.
To be fair, none of them have been your fault so far, Trash. I've
This
really
was
had
the
to kind of
63rd
put a part in
generated.
my
Yeah,
story.
How are you always avoiding
It's usually not my fault.
Yeah.
I'm gonna preface this just in case, because I know some of them watch you, for whose fault this is. So not blaming you. It's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
But it was your fault, not mine. But so this was. I'm not even gonna say the year because it's gonna be even more obvious if they're watching this. So we were launching a new site, a site that I was not a part of writing.
I think that's stupid.
Preface this.
Stop avoiding responsibility.
I'm just kidding. Kind of. But so this was early Next.js days. I didn't even know what Next.js was. So this was, I think.
I don't even know what Next.js is.
Yeah, it's stuff for sell things. This is like when everyone's like, "Oh my God, server-side rendering!" Even though it's been a thing forever, it just became more accessible to people that didn't know what it was. So it was like the new hotness, and they wanted to use this new framework.
I like that. That looks
So
pretty
everything
good.
was
Let's
just
see, let's
server-side
get some
rendering,
opinions.
and
Yep.
Okay.
what that means is we
Oh,
basically
that-
just wrote like 1 million queries
Yep.
at request time.
Isomorphic.
Solid
They probably were using terms
workflow,
isomorphic heavily during that time.
Number of duplicates.
Bro, is that isomorphic? I'm not sure.
Is that isomorphic JavaScript?
Set.
I gotta look up the
Generate
definition
check
every
value,
time.
Right.
3-letter, 3-digit ID.
So we're using GraphQL, and GraphQL had like some of these
Append save
APIs that
used
would basically
item
crawl
could be
your
append
tree,
save.
look for all the promises, and then make sure all those promises
Follow
are
the same
resolved
case.
before it returns some data.
And load item numbers to create file
But that's a
matches
big
bit
problem
misleading
when you have
since
such a
it's
nested
created.
tree, and every single part of that tree
yeah.
needs some part of data. You're just
say-
requesting like 1 million times before it can actually render anything. So we are doing a brand new rework of a site, a very popular site,
Not found.
and we're like, on this day, brand new launch, brand
And
new
then
feel, brand new brand. You're gonna love it.
So we'll say just
We launched this site. It was a client-side
Say
rendered site, I think, before that, or
Yeah, that's probably
it was better than what
Keep
it was
consistent with
when
what we
did it
got.
at that point. It looked better. We made it look better, but it did not perform better. So when we
Oh,
launched it.
nice.
That's like the most
Yeah, so-
classic rewrite of all time when it comes to
Exactly.
front-end
It looked
rewrites.
cool. It looked cool, but a complete
Now let's
disaster
give
to
it
like
that
click and
one
wait
last
like
time
5
here, and I think
seconds
that'll
before
probably
it
be
even
it here
happens,
for
right?
that.
Chat is saying it's balls.yoga. It is not balls.yoga. I vibe coded that myself, chat.
Okay,
Tresh was not
I
involved.
made
Yes, that was a
changes.
TJ vibe
How
code
does
special.
this look?
Okay, so stop that.
Consistent and very
Stop.
functional.
Yeah, you
Saying
stop.
Anyways,
case is
continue,
good.
Trash.
Efficient
So
workflow.
before
Clear
we did this
messages.
whole like
safe
Next.js
number
fiasco, we had
generation.
another sister
The file
site,
not
and we
found
used something
message
that was
in
called
load is
pre-render.
accurate, but could
If
potentially
you're not familiar,
mention that
pre-render
it'll
is
be
basically
created
a
when you
bot that
append.
will crawl your site and then cache
For
those
large-
results for like a Google bot or something. So if you don't necessarily
The
need
append method is
the
good for
server-side
smaller
render or
data, so
anything. You can
sometimes
just
rewriting
pay
the whole
for this
file
bot or have a bot
is
that just
fine.
sends back cache results.
Perfect.
So we had something like that, but we switched to this new paradigm of using this framework, and we were able to handle a pretty high number of requests per second. But when we launched this site, our requests per second per container went down to 10. You can only handle
Yeah,
10 requests per container, and we were trying to scale. And we were trying to scale. We were trying to see the containers spin up as fast as they could, but we were just shedding so much traffic. But imagine a container only taking 10 requests per second for
chat can imagine.
for a pretty simple site. It was actually very catastrophic, and it was really damaging to like the team and the company.
10 requests
So-
per second is like
Add
impressively slow.
item
Dude,
number
it was like 10 to 15. And
generated.
since we couldn't scale up enough containers fast enough, we were obviously going to shed a bunch of traffic, and I had a bunch of other downstream effects. But man, it was literally so embarrassing.
We're serving multiple digits of RPS.
Dude, it was so embarrassing. And I had no idea like how this framework worked. And they're just like, we got to fix this now. Clearly it wasn't a bug that we fixed immediately. It took us like a week to actually
To return
resolve
the
it.
number.
But it was just it was a nightmare and one of the most stressful moments of my life for sure. But just to watch it like release, or all just sitting there
So how can I?
and just watching.
How,
like,
Trash, how was it that nobody knew it was only going to serve approximately 10 requests
People
per
had
second?
no idea
I'm gonna
back then
import
about.
this
we didn't
Programming
stress
files. This
test
is
it.
a
Like when you're in
server
your
files.
staging environments, right?
Okay, so it was
when
just
people
because
test
Inputs,
it,
functions,
the
and generating
database
file.
in prod was so much bigger than the other one that like loading these made it
well,
take.
I wasn't part of like the testing process before we released it. I was just part of the team and kind of watching it unfold. Mm-hmm. But clearly we didn't stress test this. But I mean, the classic story is when you usually release stuff, you just have one QA engineer go into test, click around, things load. And
Yeah.
then once they load, that's kind of the end of the story. We never really think about, oh, we should probably load test this with, 50,000 RPS or something, right?
Yeah.
And go from there. So it was just like a classic mishap.
Hey,
of
what's
that.
going on,
I don't
Yuki?
think anyone. It was also because that whole paradigm was new to the team.
Yeah, that
They're
makes
just like,
sense.
They're just like, cool, SEO. This is
All right,
sick.
you guys. I think
Heck
I'm gonna call it
yeah.
here for tonight. I
But yeah,
appreciate you
once-
guys joining me
once
for
the-
today. We coded for
Other
2
than
hours
watching
and
the
45
graphs,
minutes.
everything's just like
We coded the entire
exponentially
time.
up, and then you
We
see
did not
our,
stop
like,
for the entire 2
containers
hours and
trying to
45
spin up
minutes.
and
I
keep
feel
up
really
and
good
just
about
keep going
that.
down.
We
It
successfully
was
wrote
a
in a full script here for
disaster.
generating random item numbers.
yeah.
Loading
Lesson
those
learned.
item numbers from
Lesson
a file
What was
and
the
saving
lesson
those
to learn,
item
Trash?
numbers
Don't
both
server-side render or
in
what?
totality
What is
of
the
all
lesson?
item
Yeah.
numbers in
Don't-
the
don't try
file,
to
as well
query
as
literally every piece of
Mike says
data
take care,
to
good
serve
night, man.
Simple page,
Smart. Okay.
But that is
a good
not
lesson.
like the modern Silicon Valley way, though.
That's also but that's also a classic GraphQL problem too.
Yes,
People just
it
think
is.
that it's on the graph. They have no idea which resolvers are actually
Yes.
very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, oh, it's in the schema, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
They
aggregating the
probably
data.
used like 1/10
New
of the
item
fields.
number.
Anyways, like they're just putting all the fields in because they're like, well, whatever. I mean, it's in the
New
schema.
item
I'm gonna put
number
it in.
there.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. This is a classic.
It's the
classic
classic
GraphQL, dude.
GraphQL issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
even if you can get like really precise data, you still have to look it up in a table. It's not like you're getting much out when you're just like, I'm gonna go to a huge table and perform a bunch of really bad queries, but I'm only pulling out one piece of data that I'm gonna use. It's still like, yeah, this whole experience is really, really
Okay,
bad.
generated
Can we just end the episode?
previously.
Vibe coding errors on my screen.
Bob
Turn
coded.
no coffee.
All right. Nice. So what we wrote today was we fixed some bugs on our Depop scraper so that our listing class accepts none types for these instance variables if they're not detected within the initial parsing, so we don't get errors of not the right typing. So what's going on is that in our Depop scraper here, as we scrape through for the title, the description, the price with the fee, the listing price, the size, the condition, and the brand and whatnot, and the clothing type, in case any of these selectors actually return none to us back and we aren't able to successfully scrape the value, right, we can probably get a partial scrape if one of the values is missing. So we can generate a listing still with a none given as size, condition, or whatnot. And then we can maybe manually go through it and edit if there are any none factors like or whatnot. But we also added the ability for item number generation. So an item number will be kind of the anchor point between A, the physical listing item with the tag, the B, whatever it is on the website, and C on the Depop. That'll be the linkage between all three of those data sources, and so that the item number is kind of the unique identifier between all three sources that links it together. So the item number, we wrote a script here then to generate unique item numbers given a 3x3 format or whatever format you provide this generate item number function, and we are able to get a 3x3 item number here, as you can see by this script I wrote. So I'll run this here. I'll delete the used items that we hear, item numbers, and we'll start fresh. So I'll run, boom. You can see we got file it wasn't found, and so we generated a new number and we created and we opened. Turn this then I say
Explosive 1401 says what you doing now?
I'm just trying to figure this out. So then we have item numbers successfully saved. So then we can create item numbers. For 5 previous ones, here's the 6 got created. 6 previous ones, here's the 7th. As you can see, 7th is MC. This is 7th right here. This is 6 previous was read successfully. We generated a 7th.
Armando says yo.
Open and saved successfully. So awesome. That's really cool. Typo fixes. Cool. So that's really nice. And so what we'll be able to do from that is we'll be able to, our next thing is probably to parse the descriptions that we generate or find and get out the item numbers from the descriptions if they're given there. So that will be our next goal for tomorrow. As well as extracting the images, right? So for tomorrow we will extract the images from each of the product listing pages and then write the regular expression for getting the item number out of the description if it's there. So this is what our program currently does. I'll run it right now. Depop scraper. So it first opens up the site and parses through and scrolls down to load the entire DOM of all products that are lazily loaded on the site. So as you can see, it's going through all the way to the bottom in certain chunks so it can get them in the right speed. I had to kind of tailor and optimize, kind of configure the speed at which it scrolled. So it made sure it didn't skip anything. It found 284 products. Oh no. Oh, that's right. We're calling in listing dot strip on a potential none type. So if title, not none. So this, if subprice, else none. If total price, else none. If size, else none. If condition, else none. If brand, else none. If description, else none. If clothing type, else none. And if item number, else none. Let's try it again. Goes through all of the items on the page, make sure it loads all of them to the DOM so that we can extract out all the URLs for each of the individual product pages. That reaches the bottom. Boom, now we start to open up each product page. Boom, and now we're getting all of the information. So you can see on the right side of my page here, all of the information is being number 4, number 5, number 6 of 284, number 7 of 284, and you can see all of its information is being organized and populated back to us from the description, the price, the condition, the title, the subprice, the item type, the size. Everything looks really good. Product 17, product 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, just gonna let this run for a little bit and see if we hit any bugs maybe. Everything's looking good so far. It's getting all the info, it's extracting at 35. I'll probably go to 50. And then when we get it, like when we get the images and stuff, I'll probably let the whole thing run. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Nice. Really happy with that. So as you can see, we were getting the title, subprice, total price, size, condition, brand, description, right? Type, blouses, dresses, blouses. So this is a type of other for women's black blouse. Interesting. Awesome. Super successful day. I appreciate you guys being here and hanging out with me. Please leave a like if you're here, one of the 8 people that's in here right now. Thank you guys so much. If you're on Twitch and you're not following me, please hit the follow button. It's free. It means, honestly, it means the world. I appreciate you guys supporting me day in and day out as I, give you guys some free content here. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me and being my friend and whatnot. And I appreciate you guys hanging out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to keep going. Tomorrow's Saturday, so we'll be able to code a lot tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some longer stream. And, today was a long stream. We streamed for 3 hours today. We streamed for 4 hours yesterday. We did 3 hours of just straight coding today. So we got a lot of work on the project done, from generating item numbers to doing some protections and safeties across our parsing on the web page scrape. And yeah, next thing we'll do is we'll add, we'll extract out the images. We'll save the images and then we'll put in the item numbers into the descriptions. and then we'll save the images to the item numbers within a database. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys, have a great night.